Get in, nerds. We're playing Victoria 3. So we had a little crash last time. We're still in the middle of our Civil War. I'm going to do the thing I was doing before. Grab our fleet. And move their target location to where the fleet is at. And this time I'm not going to select them. I believe I needed to set the... Okay, we do have an import subvention for guns, so that's fine. Munitions plants and artillery foundries, I can still build those. I think that's reasonable. And that's a completely reasonable way of looking at things. Yeah, our economy is getting a little silly. Production and education. In collaboration with the Democratic Party, John Brown has secured a deal for cheap and quickly distributed pamphlets in support of the party. The interior of the carriage held a pleasant surprise. A crate of several thousand pamphlets, printed on an industrial scale, each with instructions on the voting process and a cheaply copied logo of the Democratic Party. They made a hefty weight, and he hoped would turn out to be an equally sized benefit. Bear our opponents a sea of paper, extra momentum for the Democrats, or these connections could be used later. Less momentum, but John Brown becomes ambitious. I'm going to do less momentum. I don't know why John Brown is lined up with the Democrats right now, but that's not really my business. Alright. You boys getting there? I guess they're en route. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening with the Navy right now. I don't want to select this because I think... Okay, I think we're there. I think we're there. I think we're actually there. I think there's something weird going on where it's displaying funny, but I think we're there. Why do you have no organization? What's going on here? Oh, it's a command limit issue. You need a promotion. In fact, you need another promotion. Okay, that's my bad. That's my bad. That's my mistake. Pressing issues. The ongoing election has drawn attention to the platforms of the various contending parties. Across the United States of America, the electorate debates which party is worth trusting with the next term in government. The first thing I would take into account is the safety of my investments. If a party would represent chaos, I may safely discount it. The stockbroker tapped his cigar in the rim of the ashtray and continued. The journalist took notes as he spoke. How will the incoming government's tariff policy affect my needed imports? Do they wish to impose taxes which may spur uncertainty? Do they wish to embark upon military adventures? Would these adventures be profitable or would they be ruinous? There is much to discuss. The Democratic Party makes decisive arguments, extra momentum for them, or the electorate trusts the Republican Party's policy, extra momentum for them. I'm going to pick the Republicans, that's the intelligentsia and the industrialists. While we're talking about that, let's see what we can do. I can go to colonial exploitation. I don't wish to do that. Got secret police. Got racial segregation. Could go to cultural exclusion. Petite bourgeoisie would be very mad about that. So I won't. Got anti-strike laws right now. I could go to combination acts. Virtually the whole country would be pleased with this. Pretty extreme thing, but it would make the industrialists and petite bourgeoisie happy, so let's do it. This would move the labor movement up to agitating. They're currently at passive. Never mind. I won't do that. Okay, alright. Well, they're getting some organization back, which is good. They were doing really badly for a while, so that's partially on me. Supply delivery at 98% due to input goods shortages. I am working on this. This is a work in progress, but it's going. It's going. I'm really in progress on that. Anyway, this Civil War is probably going to finish out pretty soon. The Confederates don't have war support protection, so even though I don't have Virginia right now, they're likely to lose. And then everything's just going to be hunky-dory. Everything's going to be gone. Beautiful. So, we've completed some objectives. So, freedom, equality, and brotherhood. The intelligentsia, under the leadership of Amos Thurston, has ushered in an era of liberal politics that promises a freer society where all citizens have a part in the political process. So Amos Thurston is the leader of the intelligentsia. He's a liberal. You will find many ideologues who claim to represent the will of the people, but who silence its voice when it cries out in opposition to their policies. Not we. We will remove the people's shackles one by one until they're freed of the yoke of the past. Only then can we see what the will of the people truly is, and let it shape the future. Thurston is a fearless visionary. He becomes way more popular. Other political leaders would be wise to follow. Robert Rantoul becomes a radical. So he's the current leader of the trade unions. That doesn't really affect things. Or perhaps a voice of reason is needed before this gets too radical. Daniel Webster, the leader of the petite bourgeoisie, becomes a reformer. Ooh, that's going to make them like cultural exclusion. Let's do that third one. Shabamzo. Reconstructing the nation. While the military's fight is finished, the fight for the nation's soul has not. The United States of America must be rebuilt after being split in two. I do not expect this nation to fail. Welcome or unwelcome, whether it comes all one thing or all the other, this nation shall cease to be divided in body and soul. A house divided against itself cannot stand. For the Union. Adds Reconstruction to the United States of America. To the Journal of the United States of America. Adds Readmit the Secessionist States to the Journal of the United States of America. Adds Equality for All to the United States of America. Adds the Wild Wild West to the Journal of the United States of America. Let's do it. So, we're going to take some time to look into this. First of all, though, these munitions plants and artillery foundries don't need to be completed until later. Cash flow is pretty rough. We'll stop building in a minute, but right now we'll work on this. We got the election rolling. The Republican Party has a lot of momentum, but we'll kind of see how things go. So let's take a look at these journal entries. So, Reconstruction. With the Civil War behind us, it is now time for the former secessionist states to be reintegrated into the Union. We'll complete if reconstruct the former secessionist state. Okay, all right. So this is just all right. So this is just the sum of all of these. Oh, okay. All right. We're getting directly into it. Supremacist violence in Arkansas. Violence between white rioters and black freedmen has caused significant tensions in Arkansas. The rioters stomped, kicked, and clubbed others mercilessly. The streets grew slick with the blood of innocent men. Emptied revolvers clattered onto the ground as attacks grew too frenzied to bother with reloading anymore. It was only when martial law was declared and troops marched in that even a pretense of order could return. Use the full might of the government to protect freedmen. Acceptance of Afro-American pops in Arkansas is improved by +10. +1 standard of living modifier for Afro-American folk to Arkansas. 10% of Afro-American pops become more loyalist. 20% of Dixie pops become more radical. Or, we cannot alienate local leaders with the use of troops. Acceptance of Afro-American pops is reduced by -5. Is reduced by 5. -1 standard of living for modifier for Afro-American pops in Arkansas. 5% of Afro-American pops become more radical. 10% of Dixie pops become more loyalist. Alright, so we're gonna take a look at all this other stuff. So first, we have readmit the secessionist states. Bring the former secessionist states back into the fold as fully fledged incorporated states once more. Readmitting the rebellious states back into the Union is essential for restoring the shaken spirit of the nation, and may help establish new power bases for the government. Will complete if all of these states are incorporated and have at least 20% Dixie loyalists. Kentucky, Florida, Missouri, all the states that revolted. Okay? That's what we're talking about here. If completed, Dixie culture remains a primary culture of our nation. Now, Dixie is North American settler heritage, Anglophone language. That's part of the European trait group. Anglophone is part of the Germanic trait group. And then our other primary culture, Yankee, shares all of the same traits. North American settler heritage and Anglophone language. So basically, as long as we don't go to ethno-state, things will be fine. So currently where we are with racial segregation, Dixie Pops will get 60 acceptance from shared heritage trait, 30 acceptance from shared language trait, which puts them at 90. So they're fully accepted. If we go to national supremacy, they'll get 40 from heritage trait and 30 from language trait. That puts them at 70. If they're in their homelands, that's going to give them an extra, I think, 10. So regardless, that's going to put them above 80. So here's why this matters. Equality for all. Create a system that recognizes all men, from the North and South and black and white, as true equals. This nation fought a war over deep issues that were papered over for generations until the problems became too big to ignore. We must avoid a repeat of this disaster and tackle the problems head on, lest they be left to fester for another century. Will complete if average acceptance of Afro-American pops in the United States of America is greater than 60. If completed, Afro-American culture becomes a primary culture of our nation, and Reconstruction progresses towards completion. So, interesting. So, okay. Now, I've been burnt on this before, but I think we can do this. So if we go to Cultural Exclusion, we'll get 60 acceptance from heritage trait, 50 from language trait. So what I think will happen is this. None of the heritage trait ones will apply, but 50 from language trait will apply because Afro-American has the Anglophone culture trait and the African diaspora heritage trait. So they'll only get the Anglophone trait. I believe none of our cultures have traditions. Ha ha ha, insert joke about Americans here. So they're going to get 60 from that. And remember, we are getting 15 acceptance for all religions. So with a blanket 15 for religions, going to Cultural Exclusion should set 65 as the baseline for Afro-Americans. So I'm going to hit that button right away. All of our groups in power are going to help make that happen. And then now this event. So this is interesting. So I don't actually need what I. Okay, thankfully, this shows these percentages here, which is really, really good. So in Arkansas, we're at 0.2%. So if I do this, I get 10%. See, there's a part of me that's definitely tempted to, wow, there's such a high Afro-American population in Arkansas compared to the Dixie folk. I'm going to do the first one. I'm going to use the full might of the government to protect freedmen. That's what I'm going to do. Last time I tried a more reconciliatory approach, but I don't think I need to do that. Let's go ahead and work on getting the previously rebellious states reintegrated. Just to get our tax base back up. The smarter way to do this is in the states interface. Florida and Virginia. Alright, beautiful. I got a lot more authority to play with. I'm also going to drop taxes back to Midland. Let me see. Tobacco, yes. Consumption tax. Liquor, yes. Consumption tax. That's going to improve my finances significantly. Alright. That should be good. And then finally, we have the Wild Wild West. So what I think is going on with this is once we finish all these other traits, this one will finish out. So, the Wild Wild West. The western frontier has been set alight by the unrest in the rest of the nation. We must find a way to calm it down. Will complete if the following must be true for 5 years total. All American states, at least one of these, is not a Dixie homeland, is not a Yankee homeland. Devastation is not greater than 10%. Turmoil is not greater than 10%. I feel extremely confident in our ability to accomplish that. Let's go ahead and increase the game speed a little bit. And then we got 8 years to complete this mission. So interestingly, we do have the American supremacist movement trying to stop the enactment of cultural exclusion. That having been said, we had an 18% success chance, 20% advance chance. I'm feeling pretty confident in our ability to pull this off. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. American supremacist movement is going to go to protesting, but they're going to fall back pretty soon. And there's our election. So, Zachary Taylor's term as ruler has ended. Daniel Webster is the new leader of the United States. So we're at 82%. I can get up to 85 by pulling the Democrats into the government. The petite bourgeoisie are actually going to help us do this because they like cultural exclusion. So let's do that. And that'll let me go up to Midland taxation without goofing my legitimacy. And indeed, a legitimate government we have. So the petite bourgeoisie and the industrialists are going to swap next election, and that's going to be just fine. I'm perfectly fine with that. This puts us at a 60% chance to enact cultural exclusion. Language in the... Okay. Settle down. Settle down, Victoria 3. Afro-American students sometimes use their native language in American schools. Some have called for teachers to penalize the use of these languages, forcing children to speak the official language of the United States. Now, I'm laughing because, as you just saw, Afro-American pops, their language trait is Anglophone, same as Yankee and Dixie pops. So, I think maybe this event shouldn't... I think this might be a bug that this event's procking here for Afro-American culture. Anyway, you've noticed it too, right? He gets angry when anyone talks in class, but he always gets angrier when we're talking. Maybe he thinks we're talking about him. I think he just doesn't like being reminded that we know something he doesn't. The implications here are very, very silly. So, schools should teach them to speak the proper language. I mean, sorry, this isn't actually silly. Even though black and white students are both speaking English, there have been numerous attempts by the government of the United States to get black people to speak more like white people. So this isn't complete silliness. It's just funny to see that they're referred to as different languages. So options are: schools should teach them to speak the proper language. 10% of Afro-American pops in the United States become more radical. 20% increased assimilation. 5% increased radicalism for discriminated pops. Or their language is part of their heritage. Reduce assimilation. Reduce radicalism for discriminated pops. I'm going to pick the second one. I think that's obvious. And there we go. Fertile ground. Bai Bati has decided that the United States of America would be an excellent place to live, given the influence of the intelligentsia in the country. So Bai Bati is a Republican aligned with the intelligentsia from Jodhpur. United States of America, what a land of opportunity. Did I say Jodhpur? Yes, Jodhpur. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I'm doing my best. United States of America, what a land of opportunity. Such a grand nation, so ready for my message. Yes, I will set off at last for this grand country. There's no reason to stop him from coming, he shows up. Or, even if it upsets the intelligentsia, we must prevent Bati's arrival. Pisses off the intelligentsia. I'm going to do the first one. He can show up, that's fine with me. 40 acres and a mule. In the war against the secessionists, many enslaved people believed that once they were freed, they would have the right to own the land they'd been forced to work on as slaves. People in Alabama have pressed the issue with local authorities who are turning to us for direction. Land's what we need. I can't feed myself with a ballot box. Give me the plot of land I've already been working so that I can feed my family. Authorized limited redistribution of land. Acceptance of Afro-American pops in Alabama is increased by 10. +1 standard of living modifier for Afro-American pops in Alabama. 10% of Afro-American pops become more loyalist. 25% of Dixie upper sergeant pops become more radical. Or economic measures are liable to cause trouble. 25% of Dixie upper sergeant pops become more loyalist. 10% of Afro-American pops become more radical. All the radicalization and loyalism for these two options are limited to Alabama. I'm going to pick the first one. Let's redistribute that land. We're in peasant proprietorship already, so it's like we're just doing the thing we're already doing. A peculiar reconciliation. Here we go. With years having passed since the passage of slavery banned, not exactly, pro-slavery ideals among the southern planters have faded significantly. In the echoing manor halls of the southern planters' domain, the words which had once lambasted the government for their tyranny in taking the slaves had begun to shift. Now, instead of open condemnations and calls for the restoration of the institution, there were suggestions for alternatives. Sharecropping, the use of prisoners, a dozen different methods of disenfranchisement to restore what they saw as the natural order. But none dared raise the idea of openly flaunting the decree. Not now, at least, when the government seemed vigilant. The formerly enslaved were still wary, for now at least they would simply work with what they had. Now is the time to come together and forgive. extra radicalism and reduced political strength for discriminated pops by just a little bit. Southern planters loses the pro-slavery ideology and becomes much happier. Or we cannot forget the perpetrators of this crime. Landowners become weaker and angrier. Southern planters loses the pro-slavery ideology. 2% of upper southern pops in the United States become more radical. I will pick the second one. We're going to go with a radical reconciliation this time, my nerds. I'm going to dock the fleet. Lobbyist lectures in Washington. A man employed by a powerful member of the American-British Fellowship is delivering lectures and pamphlets addressed to targeted constituencies in Washington. One lawmaker writes to a fellow politician, "Each day he finds me. I know not how. I'm quite disturbed. What are his aims? That hired emissary of the American-British Fellowship haunts the doors of the American Assembly, much like the ghost of the murdered Banquo. Make it clear lobbies are responsible for the emissaries they hire, extra legitimacy, industrialists weaker, or any concerns about the emissary's behavior are unfounded. Industrialists happier." So, industrialists. So I could get some extra legitimacy out of this. I think I'm going to, because that's going to put us in a righteous government, and that's going to make passing cultural exclusion a whole lot easier. I'm hoping it works this time. It's funny, I do have the ability to actually do this now. I think I might get there just on ticking loyalists from having a righteous government. Let's see. A scandal in the District of Columbia. Police have shut down a notorious male brothel. The arrested proprietor has revealed that Zachary Taylor, the former president and leader of the Southern planters, is part of his clientele, and this information is leaking to the press. It's leaking, all right. An indescribably loathsome scene has struck the District of Columbia. The captured boys are made to confess, and the bulletin reports that another sensation about this affair will soon burst. 22 men implicated, blue bloods and others, have fled the United States of America. Zachary Taylor must resign immediately, so he is, yeah, he'll be booted out of the head of the Southern planters, or try to cover up the story. 50% chance we lose a bunch of legitimacy and he becomes unpopular. 50% chance of nothing happens. Let him go. Ooh, they got a liberal now. Exciting. That makes us even more legitimate. Hooray. Am I at medium taxation? I sure am. Discord within the industrialists. That's it. An influential faction within the industrialists had grown frustrated with their co-members' neutrality on the topic of cultural exclusion. Themselves in favor of the law, they've now resolved to form a separate political faction intent on passing it. How can you all stand idly by and watch the world pass before your eyes? Have you no sense of honor, of duty to your fellow man? I say nay to such lack of ambition, and I dare say I am not alone in this. With their support, the bill shall pass. 15% increased in success chance, industrialists slightly weaker. Or the petite bourgeoisie extended open hand to these mavericks. Industrialists weaker by 15%, petite bourgeoisie stronger by 10%. It's only 10% in success chance. I'm just going to go with the first one. I don't want to disrupt my politics too much with this. I still need to build my heavy industry. I think I'm going to, I think I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing. So what else do I need for this heavy industry thing? I got 7 years. I'm more than capable of doing that. Oh, cripes. Hold on. I forgot to reset production methods in the South. My goodness, things were rough over there. Missouri another? Yeah, Missouri is another. Yep. And all this is about wood. Craftsman sewing, I'll check on that in a minute. Food industries are as profitable as they can be right now. So that's fine. It's actually, we'll put the stills in Tennessee, and we'll have the prioritized grocery production on in Vermont. I think we can all agree that's reasonable. There's a reason Tennessee is known for its American whiskey. So interesting. So we actually have not as much wood as we need, not as much iron as we need. Let's take a quick look at this stuff. I'm gonna put tariffs back on weapons. I think that's just reasonable. Trade policy. Is there anything else I'm... Oop, I'm still in the filter. Okay, that's good to know. Is there anything else I'm import subvening right now? I'm import subvening luxury furniture. Oh no, I'm export subvening luxury furniture, so that's correct. I'm import subvening silk, that's correct. Everything else I'm good on. So that's good. That's all well and good. Alright. So that's fine. Can I get some of my logging industry? I'm going to move some of my logging industry over to... I'm going to reduce hardwood output. I'm actually going to globally reduce hardwood output. Or no, we're just going to reduce it for the ones that are... Really? You think you'd be less productive if you produced more of the cheaper, more of the more expensive wood? Is that so? Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll set this to production in the country. Yep, things are all just about the same with that. A lovely song happening here. Okay, so that's actually made hardwood crazy expensive. Alright, well, I stand corrected. I stand corrected. Alright, we'll still grab one of our larger logging countries like Pennsylvania. Okay, so no. So you think you'll be less productive if you do that. Okay, curious. Maybe we'll sort that out later. Did I stop ship construction? I did not. Alright, easy peasy. Oh, interesting. There's two sets of checkboxes here. One for incorporated and one for loyalists. Alright, logistics has been unlocked. That's good. We're in study for cultural exclusion. That's also good. How much are we spending on construction right now? 101k. Alright, that's fine. That's just fine. So, I think we're going to build up the heavy industries. Once again, this is explosives factories, fertilizer plants, motor industries, and steel mills. I think motor industries are a no-brainer. We'll build one level in New Jersey. Steel mills, we'll build a level in West Virginia. That's 2 more levels. I've already got the explosives factories queued in here. Let me see. Fertilizer. Oh, we can for sure build more motor industries. Look at this. So we'll build up another level in Pennsylvania. And then... steel is also quite expensive in our nation. So we'll build another level in Pennsylvania for them as well. Yeah, I'll just trade off between those. And then we're just going to need one more. Ooh, creation, mass immigration. Very cool. After that, we're just going to need one more. Let me see. Fertilizer is mostly fine. Where's explosives in our list? Explosives are much cheaper than that. So, we'll have progressive voting. Excellent. Let's go to sugar. Sugar is what we import subvened. Alright, we'll set those to tariff instead. I should have checked the cash flow board. That's what I should have did. Alright. Let's not do fertilizer plants. Let's actually do another steel mill. We'll do another steel mill in Pennsylvania, and that'll be... Actually, no. We won't do it in Pennsylvania. We'll do it in somewhere else. Let's do it in New York. We got plenty of industry in New York. Redeemers. A coalition of former Confederates and Confederate sympathizers have uncontrolled Mississippi state government through means fair and foul, threatening the ongoing process of Reconstruction. Draw a line on one side of which you see intelligence, virtue, self-respect, and democracy, and on the other the absolute unchecked political supremacy of brute force and terror. And there you will behold not one attribute of free government, but the saddest tyranny of the Old South, desperately clinging back power that ever cursed this earth. Reconciliation demands an accord with these men. Acceptance of Afro-American pops in Mississippi is reduced by -5. Reduced universal pop political strength. 10% of Afro-American pops become more radical. 20% of Dixie pops become more loyalist. Or arrest these men and install a new state government. Acceptance of Afro-American pops in Mississippi is improved by +5. 10% of Afro-American pops become more loyalist. 20% of Dixie pops become more radical. I'm picking that second one. Because I'm going for cultural exclusion. I'm almost there. I got 75% of a success coming up here. I got a righteous government as well. Even with high tax, even with medium taxes. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about my ability to get this done. This is going to complete my promise to the industrialists. And that's going to be just fine. That's going to make a bunch of industrialist pops more loyal, which is also going to make me really, really pleased. And then I can stop constructing stuff for a bit. Let me see. Construction queue for ships is almost finished. I will probably simply go to building supply ships after that because I have a lot of supply ship needs. Let's take a quick look at our armies. The Confederate Marine Corps has a bunch of infantry in it. That's curious. Okay, not what I would have expected. Let's go ahead and incorporate all of these troops into the Army of Observation, except for the Marines. Who will move into the Marine Corps proper. Interesting. Got a bunch of conscript lancers. We've selected. Confirm. Beautiful. And that puts the United States Marine Corps at a very solid 20 battalions. Regular Army is still at 17. The Army of Observation is now at 10. And they're a unit once again. They're waiting to get supplies, but that's fine. That's gonna be sorted out pretty fast. And now we have Cultural Exclusion. Perfect. And the Anti-Prussian League is formed. Very interesting. So this should get us there. So let's take a quick look at, say, Pennsylvania. What are you? Oh, luxurious parties, yeah. Let's look at, say, Pennsylvania. We'll take a look at the Afro-American pops here. They're at 2. Yeah, here. Come on. Okay, so they're at +60 from cultural exclusion, from 50 from language trait, and 10 from no shared heritage trait. Okay, so we need to get this, the average acceptance needs to be 60, and that's of all pops. And again, they're going up to. They're going up higher because a lot of them are in their homelands, which these do count as. We got Afro-American homelands. Oh, interesting. Not in Virginia or North Carolina or Tennessee or Arkansas. Louisiana, yes. Texas, yes. Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and South Carolina, yes. And then Florida, yes. Okay. Muskegon pops. Interesting. Raids on the Iron Horse. Native raids have become increasing in frequency, with railroads becoming a very common target. Citizens in South Carolina are demanding action from the government. We built that line across untouched land, but they've come up to attack us anyway. How are we supposed to get anything done while the trains keep being attacked and the rails keep getting torn up? Sending the army costs us a little bit of money, 15% devastation. Reduced railway throughput and 25% of pops become more radical. That's really bad. Or, we can't spare anything to help, 30% devastation. Minus 60% railway throughput, but only 15% of pops become more radical. That's wild. I'm going to do the second one. We can't spare anything to help. I don't want to radicalize the people here. South Carolina. So what's going on with that? What's up with that? Now we are incorporating them. 26. So part of this is we have a modifier here. That's from devastation. So that's going to go away. And that one's going to go away too. So I don't necessarily need to do anything to deal with that. It'll sort itself out on its own. Alright, perfect. Alright, we're getting there with the heavy industries. That's almost finished. And that's going to make our industrialists extremely happy. Mining accident. A mine in Michigan has collapsed, trapping miners in the dark shafts below. The scale of the accident has made the tragedy a story across Michigan and the nation. They dug me out, but left my friend behind. That was all the foreman was able to get out of the wretched boy. Sooty rags clung to him like wispy strands of a torn funeral jacket. Whether he held back his tears for fear of a beating or to keep strong, the foreman did not know. But he was spent for the day. The foreman hoped the manager had a mind for mercy. There's a small price to pay for the march of industry. Makes the industrialists stronger and happier, but radicalizes 5% of lower strung pops in Michigan. This outrageous abuse of the common man cannot stand. Radicalizes 5% of upper stratum pops in Michigan, but makes the trade unions stronger and happier. Or these mines are a blight upon man and countryside alike. Radicalizes middle stratum pops, but makes the yeoman farmers stronger and happier. I'm going to pick the first one. The industrialists are a core part of our government, and I need them strong. Hopefully we can get job creators reasonably active. Investment pool is being drained. Economy is not going up as fast as I should like, but I am, I guess, building things that I don't really need. So that is what it is. We're spending a lot of cash right now, but once we stop constructing, that'll be better. So what is our national debt? It's 11 million. We're paying 10K a week in interest. But I still anticipate basically we'll be able to pull that out reasonably quickly. If I go up to high taxation, that'll cost me 10 legitimacy, and that'll put us at 91 legitimacy. So I'm really only just above. So I'm just going to put us right back at Midland. Do we have movements popping off? The American supremacist movement is biggest mad. Okay, so they're costing they're costing us some money. They are going down in activism, however. Drifting down. Let me see. 25% from unowned homelands. I wonder what that... Oh, I wonder if that's gonna sort itself out once these states have been reincorporated again. Which is gonna be in another 4 months. It's very quick. Very quick with this stuff. I think at this time, I'm going to halt ship construction. Actually, no. I'm going to switch over to entirely building supply ships. I think that's reasonable. So now that's made my shipyards unproductive, which is curious. So if instead I go back to half and half, what does that do? Okay, never mind. It was all the same. I'm just going to halt construction. Paramilitary intimidation. Political groups opposed to Reconstruction have organized militant units to intimidate voters in North Carolina and restore themselves to power. While I understand that our organization causes consternation among some elements of the population, I can assure you that our bayonets and our rifles are purely for display purposes only. A loyal state government is all that matters. Acceptance of Afro-American pops in North Carolina is reduced by -5. -1 standard of living modifier to Afro-American people in North Carolina. 5% increased radicalization for pops under open prejudice, cultural erasure, or violence hostility. 20% of Dixie pops become more loyalist. Are horrendous. Disband these units at once. Acceptance of Afro-American pops in North Carolina is improved by 10. Still -1 standard of living for Afro-American pops in North Carolina. Reduce radicalism for discrimination. 20% of Dixie pops become more radical. I'm going to pick that second one. I wish there were a bar here that for equality for all that would would show how close I am to what my average acceptance of... Hold on. I wonder if there's a place I can see that. So cultures. Afro-American... So this... We're at 60... We're at 60 baseline, but I don't know how close we actually are to achieving that in practice. Yeah, okay, so 100% of Afro-American pops will achieve a higher level of acceptance over time, but how fast? How do I see that? Hold on. Let me try and do some research here. Cultural community acceptance. So this should be decaying. So let's take a look. Will decay to 0 in 12 years. Okay. That means we should, so we're at minus 37. So that means that what we need to get is to 45. They're at 60, minus 37 is putting them at 23. So they need to get to 45. I think they're going to get there in time for this to finish. Because again, they're getting 15 from total separation of church and state. Well, actually, I don't need both of these steel mills. I only need the one. So we'll go ahead and do that. Now we're experiencing a shortage of bureaucracy. But that's fine. We should experience an overabundance of bureaucracy. Alright, are there any states where we're short on taxation capacity? Not really. It's all abstinence. So let's just go ahead and grab a few states and go to standardized filing system. And that should give us the taxation capacity which we require to function as a nation. Not quite enough yet. Again, you don't need to do too much of this because you're not actually getting that much runway from it, and it is more expensive to do a standardized filing system. I do want to have a little bit of a buffer, so I'm gonna be, I like to have a buffer of like 100 bureaucracy to play with. So I recognize this is costing me money, but I think it's reasonable, and that's all of them anyway. So that's fine. Oh, not quite. One in Maryland. I should have just used the main button up here. I'm going to use the main button up here. Oh, that's actually a bunch. Oh, the ones in D.C. weren't. That is very funny. All right, no, that's fine. D.C. can be inefficient. I'm well pleased with this outcome. All right, so from here, we're just going to halt construction and we'll let the private sector take care of that completely, and we'll chip away at our national debt. Let me see. Reducing government or military wages isn't really going to help much. I could increase taxation, but that's a hard hit to legitimacy. Wow, petit bourgeoisie are big mad. Oh, because they're no longer... they were headed up by a reformer for a while, but now Pearlie Stannard is leading them, so now they're mad. Gunfight at the Corral. Lawmen in Minnesota have engaged in a shootout with several cowboys. The following investigation has revealed that the gunfight was likely due to a personal feud between American marshals and the citizens involved rather than pursuit of the law. People are demanding justice against the lawmen. Come on, does anyone else want to try their luck? See this badge? It means I'm in charge here. I'm justice. Now get moving. There's nothing to see here. There's nothing to see here, see? I'm a cowboy, a lawman. The lawman and the law... The lawmen are the law, and we cannot stop the law. Reduce authority by 5% for 2 years. 5% of pops in Minnesota become more radical. Or recall the marshals from Minnesota temporarily, 25% devastation. I'm going to do the first one. I also have some states that I can incorporate now, or should. Oh, no, not quite. Not quite. Not quite yet. I'm still working. Still chipping away. I declare a colonial claim. I can. Let's go ahead and stake some colonial claims here, my nerds. Let's declare a claim for Ute, Colorado. Oh, interesting. Okay, so there's a cooldown. There's a 5-year cooldown. Alright, alright. Well, that's... Now I know. There's modern sewerage. That's wonderful. Happy to have sewers. So this is going to be very good. Now that's completed. And there's our economic initiative done. North German mass immigration. Excellent. So readmit the secessionist states. We are getting slowly increasing places. Oh, we can't incorporate Texas because they're not fully colonized yet. So we're chipping away at that. It's a process. It's a process. I think we're going to get there because there's not actually that much more. Institutions-wise, we're colonizing as fast as we can. We've fallen in legitimacy a little. That's okay. I'm going to start constructing ships again. Nope, I'm not. I'm not going to do that. So that's curious. It's quite curious. So where are we spending money? Goods for military upkeep seems quite high. A lot for army logistics centers. Let me see. Military wages, supply ships, military ships, shipping lanes. Treaties. Right, we are paying the French. And then it's just all interest. Okay, so yeah, so we need to chip away at our interest. I'm actually... Again, I'm not really too concerned with promoting loyalism in the Old South. So let's go ahead and increase taxation. This is going to reduce my legitimacy even more, but what it's going to do is provide very high cash flow that's going to help us chip away at our national debt, which is very important. Supporting the Spanish workers. We will support the workers in Spain, boosting the power of their trade unions. Maybe we believe in the international cause of the working man, maybe we don't. In the end, it doesn't matter. What matters is that the trade unions in Spain get stronger. An excellent idea. Stronger trade unions, or this would be ill-advised, weaker trade unions. I don't think this affects our trade unions. I guess we'll find out. An excellent idea. All right. We're gonna have a shift in the parties in a little bit, but right now, the extra taxes are going to affect both parties equally. What if we go to very high, in fact? Yeah, this puts us on a contested government, and that's fine with me. Oh no, this is gonna goof our standard of living. Let's not do that. Let's not be too extreme here. Raising concerns. The armed forces have expressed their concerns about government decisions clearly favoring the interests of the industrialists. Choosing is always hard, not because the decision is difficult to make, but because the consequences can be a bit inconvenient. Rumors are spreading like smoke from a factory, staining the clear air of the United States of America with a dense and vicious poison. This needs to be addressed. Armed forces much happier, industrialists very unhappy, or they need to accept that we can't always please everyone, armed forces unhappy and weaker. I'm going to pick the second one. I don't necessarily... I really want to keep job creators. 20% increased capitalist investment pool contribution efficiency is really, really good. What's going on over here? Oh my goodness, a British proletarian revolt. Wild. You get him. You get him, Emperor David of Austria East? Neat. The engines of progress. The manufacture of steam engines has become a profitable industry in Pennsylvania thanks to our sound investment in locomotive technology. These engines are already being employed across all new American railway lines. All aboard for Richmond. Courtesy of the good folks at the Philadelphia Steam Locomotive Company, getting out of Charleston has never been easier. The dining car is restricted to first-class passengers only. Stowaways will be prosecuted. All aboard. Extra railway building throughput for 5 years. More engines, more locomotives, increased motor industry's throughput, or we're on track for innovation. Extra free progress for steel railway cars. You know I'm going to pick that extra innovation. Let me see. Luxembourg is having a proletarian revolt, and Belgium is having a proletarian revolt. Exciting. Lots of proletarian revolts happening in Europe. It's 1847. Oh, well, that makes sense. This is like... I think 1848 is the big year for revolutions in Europe, so that makes sense. Alright. As you can see, the American supremacist movement is continuing to decrease in activism. Once they get down low, they'll stop goofing up our... English mass immigration. Once they get below 50%, they'll stop goofing up taxation collection. These line items are going to go away, and our finances are going to look a ton better. Just so much better. It's going to be crazy. It's going to blow your mind. Yeah, I got 10K in unrealized taxes. It's bananas. Stop that. All right, so we're slowly chipping away at our interest. Let's do a little math here. Scottish mass immigration. Wonderful. So if we do a little math here, we got 11.5 million in credit. We're clearing 1 million every 20 weeks. So if we spend a year, that's going to clear about 2.5 million. It could be better, but it could also be a lot worse. Oh, a French nationalist revolt. What is happening over here? So, the French Republic are allies. Here's Chancellor Camille Dutirol. This is the French supremacist movement. So, because they're on cultural exclusion and they're trying to go to elected bureaucrats from appointed. That's curious. And then the secession is an ethno-state. Well, we can't have that. We can't have that kind of fuckery in France. Yeah, so I'm definitely going to intervene when I have the opportunity to do so. Yeah, okay, just 2 more provinces in Texas, and then we'll be able to reincorporate that territory. And that'll be just fine. I'm really excited to start getting some of these states incorporated, because that's really good cash flow for me. Oh, I got wildfires in Kentucky. Gosh dang it. Hey, France, do you need a hand? Perhaps they don't. They don't want our help, which is fine. That's fine with me. You get him, French Republic. I believe in you. I believe in you. You can do it. So, let me start constructing again. Oh, Franco-Provençal mass immigration from Switzerland. So, once we start constructing again, let me see. We're going to need coal. How are we for iron? We're doing actually just fine for iron. Let me see. We're not... Where are our coffee plants? In Liberia. Alright, well, that'll do it. Well, there's your problem. What kind of capacity do we have here? Yeah, not much. Alright, yeah, that's... I can't believe this. I can't believe we're growing bananas in Liberia and not coffee. I guess I really can believe it if you I know it's hard for you to believe that I can believe that thing, but it is what it is. Supremacist violence in Arkansas. Violence between white rioters and black freedmen's caused significant tension in Arkansas. I've read this flavor text already. We use the full might of the government to protect freedmen. It's going to improve Afro-American acceptance there, and that's going to be chill. Quality for all. So, let's take a look at Arkansas. So Afro-American pops here in Arkansas. Okay, we're slowly getting there. We're slowly getting there. All right, good. So this is our... Can I see what percentage? Okay, 90% are below 40. 10% are above 40. And again, we need to get to 45. So if we let a week go by... Okay, number's not quite increasing yet. Or it's not increasing at much of a rate just yet. In fact, it's going down, which is weird. It shouldn't be going down. 40 acres and a mule. In the war against the secessionists, many enslaved people believed that once they were freed, they would have the right to own the land they'd been forced to work on as slaves. People in South Carolina have pressed the issue with local authorities, or turned to us for direction. I'm going to authorize limited redistribution of land once again. I think that's just reasonable. So in South Carolina now, the Afro-American majority is moving steadily towards... Okay, ooh, very nice. Very, very nice. So can I see... Is this across the United States, or is this just South Carolina? No, this, okay, alright. We've just, so a bunch of people just crossed over into the, above the 40 line, which is very, very good. Colonization of Texas is completed. Alright, perfect. So, let's go ahead and commence the incorporation of Texas. That's going to take 20 months, and that's going to significantly improve our cash flow as well. Now, can I begin colonizing here? I cannot. I cannot. Alright, that's okay. That's okay. We're good. We're so good. So chill. We're chilling today. Again, I'm just sort of bashing away at my national debt. I think that's a reasonable way of approaching things. We've finished incorporating a lot of the states. Ooh, Fieldworks, nice. What are we working on tech-wise? We're working on triage, and then we're going to do some social stuff to snag quinine. Let me see. I would love to get steel railway cars. Oh, but we're actually still not finished with the tier 2s in production. We're working on crystal glass. Crystal glass is very good. Surprised I don't have baking powder, actually. I don't know why I'm surprised. It's not as though I've been focusing on the production side of the tree. How are we doing in society elsewise? We got pharmaceuticals, and that's going to be good. Everything else is chill. We got postal savings spreading. That's fun. Maybe after, so maybe once this is finished, we do an end run around the tier 2s in production so that we can get up to, at least get up to the tier 3s. And do I want to steal railway cars first? I think I do. And then after that, I think we knock out what remains of the tier 2s in society and snag, well, steel frame buildings is actually the target, but we'll kind of see how things go. I do want to increase, okay, alright, so now I'm a little short on governance capacity, so we'll switch over to standardized filing system for DC. Now, dangerous equipment. Everyone loves that. The furniture manufacturers in Ohio have seen an increase in workplace injuries with increased mechanization and poor safety regulations. Accidents have always happened, but I felt like I used to have time to react. Not this time. I grabbed his arm to pull him out of the way, but I'd barely gotten a hold of his wrist before the arm was all I held on to. Slow down production while the staff adjusts to this new machinery. Industrialists unhappy. Reduce manufacturers' throughput, or we cannot pull the brakes on the engines of progress. Trade unions mad, increased mortality. I'm going to pick the second one. I haven't had many problems with mortality in the current patch, so I think I'm fine with that. Oh, U.S. Navy needs an admiral. Let me see. I could do Matthew Perry. He's sickly but innovative. He's an armed forces reformer. David Farragut is an experienced naval commander. Yeah, let's go with Farragut. He's the guy. He's the guy. I'll use him for the thumbnail. Filing cabinets. The use of filing cabinets in the government administration has drastically increased the effectiveness of the state bureaucracy. The future isn't in flying like a bird, nor in roaring along in a train. No, the future is in filing. I love bureaucracy, extra bureaucracy, or store information about our citizens, free progress for ID documents. Gonna go with that second one. Seems just reasonable. Redeemers. A coalition of former Confederates and Confederate sympathizers has won control of Louisiana's state government through means fair and foul, threatening the ongoing process of Reconstruction. Blah, blah, we've heard this one before. Arrest these men and install a new government. So, you might be asking, why am I doing this? Why am I pursuing such a radical agenda when I could attempt to readmit the secessionist states and not have a problem at all? Here's the answer. Number one, Um, my, my, if Dixie culture loses primary culture status, it won't affect their lives in any kind of way. They'll remain at full acceptance with no problems. Number two, I can't control when these events show up. I can't control which states I get the opportunity to add loyalists in and which ones I don't. And as far as I can tell, I don't really have the ability to affect that manually pretty much at all. So, and if I can't get all of them, then there's no point. So I'm just not going to worry about it. Again, if it were something where I could tag states to proc an event, then it would be one thing, but I can't do that. A disreputable bookkeeper. A bookkeeper in government administration employed by the American British Fellowship is under investigation for bribery. The committee leading the investigation gathers to consider the facts collected. They argue over the scandal. I understand that the American British Fellowship benefits from a close relationship with the lawmakers of the United States of America, but these lobbyists cannot be authorized to pledge any amount of money to ensure success. The American British Fellowship is responsible for the agent they hired, 5 legitimacy for 5 years, appeasement of the fellowship reduces by 1, or perhaps it was just a clerical error, 5% of bureaucrats in D.C. become more loyal, industrialists become happier. I really want to retain the job creators bonus. Perhaps it was just a clerical error. Corruption maxing. I'm at number 5 for GDP right now. I'm still at high taxation. Again, it's not really affecting my politics because I got both parties in power. Next election is in December, so we're going to hit an election season pretty soon, and I'm going to see how that impacts politics. We're going to see a shift up where our petite bourgeoisie and industrialists are going to swap. Our petite bourgeoisie are going to join the Republican Party, and the industrialists are going to join the Democratic Party. And we're going to see how that affects things. We've got 8 more years since the session in the Reconstruction. Let me see. Wild West, we're doing fine on this. We're almost halfway there, so that should be a problem. And there's triage. Beautiful. All right, let's go to our mobilization methods. I'm just going to activate first aid for all of our armies. I think that's more important. French mass immigration. Ooh, excellent. To Ohio. And it looks like the government is winning their war against the French supremacists, so that's just fine with me. It looks like the British won their war against their own rebels as well. Let's start improving relations. Oh, there was one other thing I wanted to consider, which is a war against New Grenada. Because I want to claim Panama. This would be 9.4 infamy. They might accept 21% chance. Denmark might stand with them, as might Mexico, as might Spain. Interesting. If Spain stands with them, what does that mean for me? They don't have much of a navy at all. A lot of armies, but not much of a navy. So I might be able to lock them down. See, I want to get this before I end up in a situation about the Panama Canal. I guess I've got plenty of time to do that. It's not a rush. 191 days until I finish occupying Oklahoma. Then I can cede the rest of that territory to the Indian Territory, and that can be chill. On the other hand, I think if I finish out equality for all, I will have... the Indian Territory will be dispersed. I don't know if I'm going to put them back or not. I don't think so. So there's crystal glass. Let's get our glassworks working on the new method. I think that's going to make them way, way more profitable. Shut up! It's going to make you way more profitable. Stop being unprofitable. Hold on. Let me get my, can I get my urban centers on using glass? I know I got something I can set to using glass. Oh, not yet. I don't. Let me see. Covered markets. I need steel frame buildings for that. All right. Well, that's fine. That's fine. That's just fine. Let me see. I'm still paying quite a lot in interest, which is a surprise. I'm paying quite a bit in goods for government buildings. I guess that's not shocking. I could take a little break to produce a bunch more paper. Oh, but you know what? Yeah, I think building up paper mills is a smarter way to go about things. Let's see. We'll go up to 8 in both areas. That's going to expand the output significantly. It's going to cost us some cash while we work on it, but it should be fine. Fruitful endorsements. In a gesture of solidarity with the Republican Party, Anfoko Berkov has encouraged his supporters to vote for it in the ongoing election. For the interest of all principled people, the Republican Party has a consistent record of excellence. I cannot speak higher of those brave men and women moving the United States of America forwards under their name. Yes, our thanks, certainly, extra momentum for them, or the endorsement best be more specific. The petite bourgeoisie specifically become stronger. So, where are we? It looks like the Democrats have got a lot, are out ahead. The industrialists are not in the Democrats. Industrialists by themselves. Alright. I'm going to say he has our thanks, certainly. So, if we push the southern planters out, and the industrialists in, that does not work. We've got full legitimacy right now, and that's... We're at the highest level of legitimacy we can currently achieve. So that's interesting. With us just having done that, they're close to neck and neck right now. So that's good. That's interesting. I'm going to see kind of what comes of that as time goes by here. I know it's costing us a pile of money, but it's not for that long. Campaign financing. Parties, particularly the Democratic Party, are struggling to raise enough funds for all their campaigning needs this election. Let's see what you men are charging. Fees, yes, that's to be expected. But what's this lodging charge? A fancy hotel room could house half a village. There's enough wine billed here to drown a fish. Votes don't come cheap, sir. You do want to win, right? Some money can be spared for the Democratic Party. Costs the government some money, but gives them some momentum. Every party can be provided with basic funding this election cycle. Increased opposition, interest group approval, costs twice as much money. Or if a party can't afford a campaign, should it be campaigning? Reduce momentum for the Democrats. I'm going to go with the third one. I think that's completely reasonable. I think reducing their momentum will make it easier for the Republicans to win, and that's what I want to do. In fact, Republicans have just crossed over the line here. So we'll see what becomes of that. I've got an anti-Prussian league. I suppose I could leverage that, but my intelligentsia are very happy. The American-British Fellowship is mostly industrialist intelligentsia, so I can't do much to secure the approval of my least unhappy interest, my least happy interest groups. The party favorites. The wing of the Republican Party, affiliated with the petite bourgeoisie, has raised complaints about Hector Emerson's choice of endorsements, leaving their supporters neglected. I must levy a concern now that it has come to my attention. Whilst Hector Emerson's actions are undoubtedly well-intentioned, the recommendations contained thereof seem to exclude certain members of the party who have demonstrated more than sufficient vigor, goodwill, and surety of purpose. Listen to their concerns and appease the petite bourgeoisie. 20% momentum for the Republican Party, he becomes more popular. Or appeasement, don't they know it was fully intentional? 10% momentum for the Republicans instead of 20%. Weaker petite bourgeoisie, stronger intelligentsia. I'm just going to go with the first one. More momentum for the Republicans is good for the election cycle, in my humble opinion, for what I'm trying to do at least. Okay. Cash flow is not the best, but I'm still confident. We're building a lot of paper mills now, but that's okay. That's okay. There's a lot of money flowing into the investment pool now that the government's using a bunch of it, so it's fine. It's just fine. We're all fine here. Misplaced moderation. John Brown has criticized numerous decisions made by the leadership of his own Democratic Party, calling Charles Finney excessively cautious and unwilling to address critical issues. Charles Finney is an abolitionist, leader of the evangelicals. I often wonder, looking at the activities we carry out, specifically those which are most crucial to expanding our pool of supporters, whether Finney is authentically aware of or dedicated to their success. Our fundraising is generally acceptable. The coffers of the party are without complaint, and neither are our accountants, but such resources have yet to be mobilized in a way that benefits the common good. And so my thesis is this: what does Finney intend, and how best to change his mind on the matter? It would be best to simply do as he wishes. Finney loses a bunch of popularity, 20% momentum to the Democratic Party, or make a point of improving the vigor we put forward. Half the penalty to popularity for Finney, half the increase to momentum for the Democratic Party. I'm going to pick the second one because I want to keep the momentum for the Democratic Party low. They're still below the Republicans, which is what we want. God, how can I have no health system. I could go to charity hospitals, but if I can get to private health system or public, well, ideally it would be private health system, because that increases the strength of the petite bourgeoisie, and they're currently aligned with the Republican Party, and that's what I want. A stronger Republican Party. The popularity contest. The eyes of the electorate have turned to the candidates that seek to acquire a position at the head of the government. As the election approaches, voters debate who would provide the best leadership for the United States of America. I quite like Finney, mused one of the men at the bar. I couldn't say what it is I agree with him on, but I think he has a good head on his shoulders. His neighbor spoke up. Enough to look past the company he keeps? Why not? God knows you could say the same of any of us. Nobody's better to handle a fool than his friend. Charles Finney is the man of the hour. Extra momentum for the Democrats. Charles Finney becomes more popular. Or a term of Pearly Standard is what the country needs. Extra momentum for the Republicans. Pearly Standard becomes more popular. I'm going to go with the second one. I'm going to throw all that momentum into the hands of the Republicans. Actually, maybe because I didn't get to... Actually... Here's what we're going to do. We're going to give the Indian Territory the rest of Oklahoma. Because there's a lot of Native American people living there anyway. Alright. Iowa already incorporated. Wisconsin and Michigan are already incorporated. Alright, perfect. So, where are we with Afro-American pops? Okay. We have a very small number have crested 60 acceptance. A very large number are in the 40 to 59 range, so that's pretty good. Authorial intent. A minor scandal has buzzed around the Republican Party as a piece of reformist fiction written by Bati in his youth has begun to circulate once more. Whilst enthusiastically written, that is the work's only merit. A plague of superstition and dogma was the end of the United States of America. If so, then why are the trains still running? How could they possibly have acquired the coal to fuel it? Your propensity to butcher your characters for cheap tragedy is nothing short of shameful. And to make matters worse, why would Victor ever not pursue Estrid's affections when they have known each other for so long? Do you have no eye for redeeming romance? A tragic tale, but there's no reason to harass him. Minus 20% momentum for the Republicans. But this is by Bati's problem, not the party's. He loses some popularity. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit on this one. I got 85 days. The election pops off in 10. And we're going to see if this crashes the game. I don't think it's going to. I've seen silliness happen before. That should just sort of reload this event funny. But we'll see. Okay. Never mind. It did proc the event. Alright, that's fine. So Pearly Standard is our new president. If I boot the Democrats out, we'll keep our 100 legitimacy. And we don't need to pull in the industrialists. All right, beautiful. We've achieved. Let's get liberalism maxing. So Oh, none of these are market liberals. Okay, so we can't change any of our other stuff. Well, that's okay. That's okay. That's all. That's all well and good. Could go to National Guard. Could get a guaranteed liberties. Guaranteed liberties would piss off my armed forces. Am I suppressing any movements right now? I'm not really. I could throw in another consumption tax. I think that would be reasonable. Let me see. We're not making much from my consumption tax on liquor. We're making a ton from my consumption tax on tobacco. Let's consumption tax coffee and luxury furniture, actually. I think those are reasonable things to consumption tax. And that'll be fine. So, alright, so we are currently producing a much more sufficient supply of paper, which is very, very good. I think from here, I'm still feeling a need to increase wood output because wood is very expensive. So let's go ahead. I know I promised I would chip away at our national debt, and I am going to do that. Let's go ahead and increase the amount of wood production in New Hampshire, in Vermont, in Maine, in North Carolina. So that's 8 levels. And we'll do one in Pennsylvania. We'll just make it a nice even 44 levels. Diplomatic tour. The ruling petite bourgeoisie, led by the charismatic Pearlie Stannard, has initiated a great promotional tour. The decision to focus efforts domestically or internationally has been left to the last minute, however, and it's unclear if the petite bourgeoisie will do more for itself or for the country as a whole. Nothing wrong with a little self-promotion if it's for a good cause. Well, how would you determine the character of the cause? By how it ripens your purse? But by its very nature. Why, a cause of ragamuffins might well have a healthy effect on the state if its heart is in the right place. It should drum up support for the petite bourgeoisie, increased, stronger and happier petite bourgeoisie, or the tour should drum up support for the United States, extra influence. I'm going to do the first one, actually. Stronger and happier petite bourgeoisie is good for me. And if I can get them a little happier, they can give me better interest rates. Paramilitary intimidation. Political groups opposed to Reconstruction have organized militant units to intimidate voters in Virginia and restore themselves to power. Horrendous. Disband these units at once. Again, my goal is to improve the acceptance of Afro-Americans in as much of the country as I can, as fast as I can, so that I can get Afro-American as a primary culture. Armed forces are led by... Oh no, there's an authoritarian in the armed forces, but he's not leading them yet. You know, I haven't used the national caste much. I could do more of that. I have got plenty of authority to play with, and I'm not really making that much money from my consumption taxes at present. So maybe that's something I'll look into. Yes, we're producing... So we're investing a lot of money in the French Republic right now. That's kind of what's going on. Oh my, Austria is kind of exploding. I mean, I guess Austria is always kind of exploding, right? My American supremacist movement finally decided to chill the heck out. Oh no, they still can cause obstinance. But they're not. They're hardly causing any. In fact, the only thing I'm experiencing is low taxation capacity in New York, which I can easily improve through the construction of but a single solitary level of government administration, which I will quickly complete. And after that, I'll build more of my logging camps, and then I'll go back to smashing my national debt. That's the goal. That's the goal here. What else? Getting very close to some of these states. In terms of research, we're chipping away at pharmaceuticals. I'm really not spending that much on universities, but much we're spending on goods. Not that much. Wow. That's actually way, way less than I thought I would be. I should build more universities. I got 7 universities out here. It's coffee we're mostly importing. Do I have the ability to produce coffee anywhere? Only in the French market. Well, that's fun. It's fun to reduce autonomy in the Balkans, you say? Ah, yes. Ooh, we've got a Bulgaria. That's exciting. Ooh, there's postal savings. Wonderful. Hailstorm in Missouri. Wallachia is a protectorate. Okay, interesting. All right, so yes, so the Ottomans are going after Serbia to reduce their autonomy. Serbia. Well, we'll see who steps in, if anyone. Let me see. We got a mostly unchanged European map. Egypt remains pretty strong. Ottoman Empire still kicking around where they are. We've moved up to 4th position in the rankings as our economy continues to increase in size. And our cash flow is going to be better soon. Again, I do want to do a little bit of austerity. Now, why do I have a bunch of unrealized taxes? Is this guy... Oh, this guy's expensive. That's what's going on. Our president, Pearly Standard, is expensive. That's why we have a bunch of unrealized taxes. That's why I'm not realizing my taxes. I'm actually now considering, I wonder if what I actually want to do is take my, take last episode and just drop it right after my first episode. Because my first episode was shorter than usual, and then put a normal length delay between episode 1 and 2 and this episode. I think that's probably what I'm gonna do. There's a little peek behind the curtain. I am still on high taxes, and that's generating quite a lot of radicalization right now. But it's mostly among interest groups that I don't really care about. Not to be too honest about how governments work. Now, what am I subvening at this point? I'm just subvening the import of silk and the export of luxury furniture, and I think that's a reasonable, that's reasonable policy at this point. Let me see. Right, that's right. Okay, so once we get pharmaceuticals, I'm going to start working on private health insurance. That's probably not going to be too hard to do at all. Actually, very few people would care. In fact, private health insurance would be easier, which is a little bit of a surprise. But, you know, it's fine. Maybe I won't worry about it then. You'd think the petite bourgeoisie would like it on account of their on account of that benefits them, but I guess not. Actually, I'm going to drop taxes back down to Midland because Romanian aspiration, wonderful. Because now I only have one party in power, and I'm going to depower that party if I stay on high taxation for too long. That's also going to put us at a very healthy, legitimate government, and that should tick down radicalization and tick up loyalism, which would be nice. And I think we can achieve a reduction of our national debt at a reasonable rate right now with what we're currently doing. In fact, loyalism is already going up and radicalism going down. Arming the natives. We've discovered that our rivals in Spain have begun arming the Sioux people, who are native to North Dakota. This is likely to impede our efforts to conquer the region. The Sioux natives have never welcomed our presence, but without the means to mount a truly effective resistance, we've paid little heed to their objections. The addition of Spanish munitions to the equation comes with the frightening possibility that we must face them on equal terms. We should de-escalate, reduce colony growth, tensions decay by 50%, or if they want to fight, they'll get one. Sheer its relations with Spain, increase tensions with the Great Sioux Nation. I'm going to increase tensions. If we have to fight the Sioux, then fight the Sioux we shall. Oh! Columbia's colonizing Ohio. That's curious. Okay, I wonder if I could use the colonial claim thing to start colonizing Panaquati here. I'm already colonizing Utah. Alright, gunfight at the corral. Lawmen in Kansas. Okay, alright, so we've seen this event before. So this is again, lawmen in Kansas have engaged in a shootout with several cowboys. The following investigations revealed that the gunfight was likely due to a personal feud between the American marshals and the citizens involved, rather than a pursuit of the law. People are demanding justice against the lawmen. I'm going to say the lawmen are the law, and we cannot stop the law. It's going to radicalize 5% of pops in Kansas, but it's not going to produce a bunch of devastation, which is the thing I'm trying to avoid here. Alright, we're very close to finishing out our colonization of Kansas. Okay, so if I try to go to... Okay, I can't go to private right now. What if I bring the industrialists in? That's going to significantly impact my legitimacy. But let's do it, because I want to do this. I could negotiate with the intelligentsia. I wonder what... Okay. I don't think I've ever had to negotiate with the intelligentsia before, so I'm going to try it. Whispering through the haze of cigar smoke in Amos Thurston's private dining hall, the intelligentsia discuss what compromises they might accept for changing their stance on private health insurance. Although we are conservatives, in view of the present situation, we must change to survive. Li Hongzhan. Oh, that's cool. Usually we get quotes here from early American politicians. It's nice that we got someone from China here. That's very cool. Vow to pass Propertied Women next. Okay. Let's add some political concessions. It's going to cost 100 authority, which I don't like. Vow to improve the lives of common people to 13. Or none of these are in the people's interests. Alright, so before we do this, if we go to Propertied Women, the evangelicals and the southern planters would be against. I'm okay with that. So we'll vow to do Propertied Women next. So that adds that in there, but that makes this much more likely. This might be a mistake, but, you know, we're trying it. I'm trying it. I'm going to do what I can do. So how much am I paying in interest now? 8.33k. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. It could be better, but it could also be worse. I've got 107 nationally owned building levels. I really wish my investment pool would buy that stuff, but they're not doing it. So, let's take another look at our society page. Afro-Americans, okay, majority of Afro-Americans are in the 40 to 59 range. And we got 5% above 60. All right, so I think what we need to do to complete this is we need these categories to be a 50-50 split. 50% below 60, 50% above 60. And plenty are getting to above 60 right now as we go along here. So I'm hoping we can achieve what we need to achieve. Colonization of Kansas is complete. Wonderful. All right, let's incorporate. Time to incorporate. 40 acres and a mule event. Once again, I'm going to authorize, this is in South Carolina again. Once again, I'm going to authorize the limited redistribution of land to improve the acceptance of Afro-American pops in South Carolina. Let's let the week turn over, and let's see how that affects our society tab here. All right, 5.11k. All right, we're making good progress. We're still at 40% of Afro-American pops below 40 acceptance. So I really want to change that, but I don't have that much ability to for the moment. Alright. Anti-Prussian League demands action. The Anti-Prussian League has requested we launch a diplomatic play against Prussia. Successfully acting on the proposal will gain our government significant goodwill from the lobby. Anti-Prussian League is just our intelligentsia. And to those who would refuse and prefer preserving the status quo, there was no hesitation. His response sounded well rehearsed because it was. This was a proactive man, one who spent hours pacing his chambers and anticipating attacks to come. My reply would be that we should never have allowed them to become so close to us in the first place. Our friendship built upon deceit is nothing at all, and the goodwill gained from it illusory. We'll look into this. As lobby demand, this is not in our interest. Appeasement changes by -5. I'm going to say our appeasement has changed by -5. I have no interest in getting into a war in Europe, particularly not against Prussia, who has defensive pacts with Russia and Austria. The New York Advocate. An explicitly partisan newspaper founded by members of the labor movement in New York has published its first issue. Between advertisements and political cartoons, it hosts a ruthless critique of government policy. There was a certain brilliance to it. By printing it on the cheapest paper, by skimping on ink, by flooding it with advertisements in large text, one could produce a profitable paper for only a penny per copy, whilst its competitors sold for 5 to 10 times that amount. By making that paper relentlessly and shamelessly endorse a certain viewpoint, one could have every working person in the city aware of it by evening. If one's competitors refused to stoop that low, they would become responsible for their own suffocation. How long can a partisan paper last? Slightly stronger labor movement? Or is that so? Deny them a printing license. Weaker labor movement, more active. I'm just going to go with stronger. I think their activism is only 29%. And going down, so I'm not too worried about it. Alright, law investment. 48% success chance for private health insurance. Feeling pretty good about that. How long before I can do another colonial claim? I guess not yet, at least. Orchestrate coup, you say? Interesting. Never seen that button before, I tell you what. Alright, Wild Wild West is almost done. Let me see. How's our national debt looking? We're at 6.77k interest. That's very reasonable. Our national debt's down to less than 5 million. I think I can start consistently building again. So what do I need for my... What does my country need? Still need more wood. Hardwood's pretty cheap. I could subvene export of hardwood. Let's take a look at the price of hardwood on the world market. Okay, hardwood's mostly for sale, so that's not really going to help. So instead, let's adjust production. We'll prioritize softwood production in New York and Indiana, and we'll hope that really balances out the price of different wood products. So that should be fine. Now we are importing a little bit of fertilizer, so I can for sure produce more fertilizer of my own. Can go to barbed wire fences. Let's do it. Not really. Now I do need to produce more clothes. Need to produce more groceries. How are we doing on liquor? I'm going to subvene the export of liquor. Again, something I almost always do. I'm going to tariff the import of fabric rather than subvene it. And do I want to subvene the export of fabric? I don't think so. Clippers are a big export for our nation. That's interesting. I'm not producing any of my own wine. I could certainly produce my own wine. Couldn't I? Yeah, I sure could. Where do I want to produce wine? Let's produce wine in Kentucky. What else? What else? What else? Grain is just fine. Tools are pretty cheap. We're not producing our own silk, but what else is new? We're exporting a lot of munitions. We're not producing a lot of our own dyes. And I do have the ability to produce my own dyes, so let's do it. 2 levels in South Carolina, 2 levels in Georgia, 2 levels in Florida. That should be more than enough. And once again, do I have the ability to produce my own tea? Is a good question. No, only in French territory. Discord within the evangelicals, in advance of that. An influential faction of the evangelicals has grown frustrated with their co-members' neutrality on the topic of private health insurance. Themselves in favor of the law, they've now resolved to form a separate political faction intent on passing it. How can you all stand idly by and watch the world pass before your eyes? Have you no sense of honor, of duty to your fellow man? I say nay to such lack of ambition, and I dare say I am not alone in this. With their support, the bill shall pass. 15% increased enactment success chance. Evangelicals weaker, or the industrialists send an open hand to these mavericks. 10% enactment success chance, but the industrialists get stronger, the evangelicals much weaker. I'm going to go with the second one. That's going to concentrate more power in the hands of our... Oh, actually, no, it's not going to affect things. That's going to weaken the Democratic Party a little bit. And that's fine. I'm going to resume ship construction. I'm going to put a higher priority to producing supply ships at present. And then let's take a look at our fleet. The United States Navy needs to be increased in size. Let's promote David Farragut to an admiral. I'm going to need a little bit more naval administration. So let's go ahead and build a little bit of that. Ooh, I can go to bulk trading and trade centers. That's very good. I'm going to set ports, railways, and the railways, that's a subsidy. Trade centers, will set them to privatize as well. Naval administration. Where do we have naval administration? We get quite a bit across the Old South. Let's produce more of it, shall we? That should be just fine. Oh, we got some in Texas. We'll do a little bit there as well. That should be more than enough to staff our fleet. Now, we've got 38 ships. Let's even out some of these numbers. We'll go to 20 frigates. Oh, interesting. Screening is actually really low. So we'll produce more frigates. So that'll put us at 35 frigates, 12 capital ships. And that should be fine. That should be just fine for what we need right now. Laws, we're doing okay. We're going to work on women's rights next. And that'll be just fine. Our southern planters are still... They're still increasing a little bit. I don't love that. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, so if we complete the Wild West, that doesn't actually do anything for us by itself. It just continues progress for Reconstruction. Supremacist violence in Arkansas. Violence between white rioters and black freedmen has caused significant tension in Arkansas. I'm going to use the full might of the government to protect freedmen. I wonder why this keeps happening in Arkansas. It's weird. British-American Friendship Fellowship demands action. First, that we dissolve our defensive pact with the French Republic. The French Republic is a known opponent of British interests. Ew. Well, I guess I don't really have a pro-French lobby anymore, do I? You know, we'll look into this. France. Let's turn this into just a trade pact, shall we? Oh, you don't want that. Well, fine. Alright, that'll make our British-American fellowship happen, which is good. Now for this, what if we added trade privileges in here? That's not bad. What if we gave you a little bit more cash? Say 1,000 extra. Very high chance they'll say yes. Let's propose. A strike wave in Pennsylvania. A wave of workers' strikes inspired by the labor movement have racked industries in Pennsylvania. Striking workers have joined protests in several cities across the region. The officer would expect the workers to be different than they were. Unwashed, stained with industrial effluvia, soaked in sweat. They were none of these things. They wore the same clothes they would on the weekends, fresh and clean. There was pride in their eyes. Instead of the cowed expression of exhausted men, they stood defiant, their faces hard, their hands gripping signs that called for the world and more. Make it known that we recognize the demands. Labor movement falls in activism. Trade unions become stronger. 25% reduced manufacturing and infrastructure throughput in Pennsylvania. Or get them back to work. Trade unions become angrier, don't become stronger. Labor movement does not become reduced in activism, but the strike is stronger and reduces manufacturing and infrastructure throughput by 50% instead of 25%. I'm just going to pick the first one. I think that's fine. Stronger trade unions are fine with me. I just commented that I didn't have a freaking pro-French group, but now I do. What a bunch of silliness. How could you do this to me? How could you do this to me, American-British Fellowship? You absolute nitwits? You goobers? Popular playwright endorses reform. In the midst of the debate surrounding private health insurance, one of the country's leading playwrights, strongly associated with the industrialists, has staged a widely acclaimed play whose politically laden theme makes no secret of the author's desire for the law to be passed. The man's viewpoints may be somewhat partisan, but sir, you cannot argue with his prose. Private health insurance will be on everyone's lips now. Extra enactment success chance. Sure puts the industrialists in a good light, stronger industrialists. Or let's ensure the play gets a wider international audience, more prestige. I'm just going to go with the first one. I kind of want to knock this out so that I can get the industrialists back out of my government so I can increase my legitimacy again, because that's kind of something I want to focus on here. Let me see. Okay, Kansas is going to take forever to incorporate unless I can get myself nationalism. Or no, I've got nationalism. Hold on. Don't I have a journal? Oh, I can manifest my destiny already. Let's do it. So this is Southern planters happy, industrialists, intelligentsia mad. Okay, here we go. Got it, because I've got an interest in the Pacific Coast, or I've got 40% of the states in the Great Plains in the country. Alright, so this is going to give me a whole pile of infamy, but it's going to be good. So what this does is give me claims on Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska. So, I have two more things here. Did I have an event? No. Alright. I'm going to read you what's going on here. So, Manifest Destiny gives you two events, the Frontier Wars and the Mexican Cession. Frontier Wars. We intend for the Great Plains to become a new homeland for the American people. Its current inhabitants must be brought firmly under control. This is complete once you've got a hold of all of Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Kansas. If completed, triggers the event the Frontier Wars. After that, there's the Mexican Cession. It is our destiny to stretch our territory from the Atlantic to the Pacific, from sea to shining sea. So this will complete if we get a hold of all of California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas, and if triggered, completes the event the Mexican Cession. Modernizing the arsenal. The change in large-scale production from smoothbore muskets to rifles in the arms industries in New York has ushered in a new era for small arms production in the United States of America. Even from 1,000 yards, you can still take the shot. Forward artillery positions can be harassed. Bayonet charges stop before they've even commenced. The advantages are innumerable. Unless we develop sufficient manufacturing capabilities to produce these weapons, we are bound to face disaster on the battlefield. The New York Arsenal shall be famed throughout the world. Ex-migration attraction, arms industries throughput, and artillery foundry building throughput in New York. Or the United States of America shall be at the forefront of military innovation. Half the migration attraction and a quarter of the throughput bonuses, but a bunch of free progress on repeaters. You know I'm going with that second one, because I love free progress. Okay, so we're almost finished colonizing North Dakota and Minnesota. I should be rapidly closing in on the point where I can do... Ooh, I can establish a new colony in New Mexico. Wonderful. Haha! I got that tiny bit of New Mexico. Excellent. And I... Okay, I can't stake another claim until October. But I'm almost done with that. I'm almost ready to go with that. I am a little bit short on government admin. Is there anywhere I'm short on taxation capacity? And the answer is yes, in Ohio. So let's go ahead and build. I'm going to actually build 2 levels of government buildings there, just to get that knocked out within a reasonable time frame. I think that's good. I think next we're going to do a massive university expansion. I just need to build universities until the cows come home. We'll build New York up to level 5. Let me see. We'll build 5 levels in Pennsylvania. We'll build up to level 5 in Ohio. Hey, we finally got our first phase for private healthcare. We'll do 1 in West Virginia, 1 in Maryland, 1 in each of the New English states that don't have one yet, 1 in New Jersey, and then we'll do 5 levels in Virginia, 5 levels in Texas, and that should be fine for now. Bison hunting. Oh, I hate this event. The Sioux people of South Dakota rely on bison for many of their basic needs. It would serve the interests of settlers in American South Dakota if the bison population were to be depleted. Many thousands have been ruthlessly and shamefully slain every season by white hunters and tourists merely for their robes and in sheer wanton sport, and their huge carcasses left to fester and rot, and their bleached skeletons to strew the deserts and lonely plains. Have the army slaughter bison. American South Dakota gets increased colony growth speed. South Dakota gets reduced subsistence farms building throughput. Tensions increased by 30 between the Great Sioux Nation and the United States. Or protect the bison herds. 10% of farmer pops in American South Dakota become more radical. Tensions between the Great Sioux Nation and the United States of America decrease by 30. I really don't want to radicalize all those farmers. And also, this first one is all bonuses, but this is what we're talking about here is a word called ecocide, which is a rarely referred to term where warfare impacts the environment itself. Or rather, it's not just where warfare impacts the environment, it's where doing damage to the ecosystem and the environment is used as part of the war effort. I am actually going to have the army slaughter bison, as gross as it is, because colony growth speed will get this done faster. This should pop off a war before too long, and that is what it is. That's the intent. Here with what we're doing. Is there any other journal stuff I need to do? No. All right. It looks like relations are bad with Lower Canada, so I'm just going to improve relations with them a little bit. Actually, relations are bad with a couple of different Canadas. I'm going to improve relations with Great Britain once again. Oh yeah, because I did my Manifest Destiny thing, so that's probably made them pretty mad. Alright, that's fine. That should be just fine. Again, it's going to cost me a lot of money to build these universities, but I don't think it's going to cost that much to maintain them. I wonder if the actual answer here is I need to reduce the size of my construction sectors. I don't think so. Where am I with integrating the Afro-American population? Okay, all right, we're there. We're very close now. So now it's just a matter of, hey, we're in voting for private health insurance. Okay, so now this is just a matter of getting the population of Afro-Americans that are in second-class citizenship up above 50%. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. All of these folks are increasing in acceptance up above, up away from 40 and towards 60, which is where they need to be. So I'm hoping, again, we need average acceptance to be greater than or equal to 60. So I feel very confident in my ability to get there. All right, Minnesota is good to go. I'm going to start incorporating. And now I need more government sectors. Let's put those in Virginia, shall we? And I'll put a couple more in Texas because we are going to need some bureaucracy for when we get a healthcare system rolling. I realize I'm making a slightly heavier weight government at this point, but it's worth it. Plus, we're going to need more bureaucracy to incorporate the West, which we're going to be doing at a pretty good clip. Now, what does Mexico's armed force look like? It's not that large. In fact, our armed forces are significantly larger than that of Mexico. Even if we don't raise our conscripts, so I feel pretty confident in our ability to win a war against them. Oh, regular army is short a general. Let me see. Sylvester Heffernan. He's an opium addict. Let's get Earl Geddes. He's a defensive strategist. He should be fine. Let's go ahead and throw a few more units in here. For the artillery, let me see, we're doing one of each, so that's getting us up to 20. 12 infantry, 6 artillery, and 2 cavalry. Ah, no, that's actually good. That's just fine. That's perfect. Colonization of North Dakota is completed. Wonderful. We'll get them incorporating as well. Again, this is going to take a long time, but what's going to happen here is this. As the number of these states gets completed, these are going to go faster. I think Minnesota, yeah, Minnesota's already a Yankee homeland, so Minnesota is going to get in there faster. I wonder if we need to actually be building trade centers out there. I think the answer is probably yes. On the other hand, I did spend a long time building trade centers. And there's paramilitary intimidation once again. So where's this happening? This is happening in Arkansas. You know what? Horrendous. Disband these units at once. I think Arkansas, because I've had so many events there, might be quietly way ahead on Afro-American acceptance compared to the rest of the country. We'll see how. Can I see Afro-American acceptance just here? Yeah, we've actually got some proportion of Afro-Americans already in full acceptance here, which is pretty based. And that should be showing up in, yeah, here we go. Here we go, just about 1%. Now, I believe they are actually decaying in seconds. There's private health insurance. So I can get one more level. I'm going to do that. Let's put a couple of levels of government admin in Wisconsin. because I want to get up to institution level 2. Institution level 2 is going to give me an increase to the political strength of the petite bourgeoisie, and that's kind of what I want to achieve here. That's part of why I'm going to private healthcare to begin with. And these should be relatively low cost overall, because this is... Well, interesting, it actually doesn't... reduce... Yeah, minus 40% bureaucracy cost of health system. There we go. Alright, so, first things first. Let's get the industrialists out of the government. Next, we're going to go to Propertied Women, which we promised to do. That should be fine. That's probably going to change in a second. We'll see. Yeah, okay. 20% to succeed, 20% to stall. That's fine. The evangelicals are mad, and that's okay with me, frankly. Frankly, that's okay with me. So we did promise to do this. We're well on schedule. We got 5 years. I'm not worried about it. Alright. Perhaps we need some government in Michigan as well. Okay, no, we're increasing in bureaucracy now. As these folks are hiring. Maybe we'll produce some government in Arkansas. That's what we'll do. Arkansas needs a government, don't you think? I think it does. You guys, I'm basically just building these to increase the level of healthcare, but that's okay. It's worth it. It's worth it. It's going to be useful. Interesting. Got low construction efficiency here. Oh, I wonder if it's because so many of the... yeah, we got turmoil here because of the number of radical Dixie folk we've got in the area. But that is what it is, my nerds. We've got to do what we've got to do. Anyway, hopefully that'll get us enough bureaucratic capacity to... Hey, don't you dare go down. Don't you dare go down. to do the stuff we want to do. That should get us enough. Oh, I wonder if we need to actually have this amount in the pot before we can increase the other stuff. Oh, here we go. Newspaper offers support. I'm excited. The editor of the American Gazette has come forward and offers to support the Propertied Women law if we help them out with some funding. Having articles written in support of it day in and day out is obviously a boon. The true advantage, though, is in not having articles written against it. Too expensive, reduced enactment success chance, or this is great. Cost us $4,500, 10% enactment success chance. I'm going to go with the second one. Stall's at 30% now, which I don't love. Could I negotiate not with the evangelicals? So, no, not in a way that matters. Let me see. For tech, we're moving towards quinine. Oh, heck! Because I also want to increase colonization speed. Bread, butter, ballots. With the price of groceries soaring across the country, the Republican Party is finding itself under relentless pressure from the opposition, accused of recklessly toying with the welfare of its citizens. High price of groceries, humbug. In my youth, we would make do with even less than what you have now for double the labor. The outrageous food prices are nothing more... These outrageous food prices, these so-called outrageous food prices, are nothing more than the musings of hysterical housewives. Left to eat something else, then. Reduce momentum for the Republicans. Or fund soup kitchens. A man with a full belly makes fewer mistakes. Cost the government money, but only for 2 years. I'm going to pick that second one. How's the election looking? Actually, the Republicans are slated to win. And the industrialists have joined the Republican Party. But that's okay. They're much stronger, and we have a legitimate government. So that's okay. We're doing pretty good overall, I would say, in the election department. I can colonize Utah, so let's do it. Now, I could get some extra acceptance by going to... Okay, now I think with the petite bourgeoisie, I can commit to increasing the size of light industry. So I think I want to do that. Let's see what they say. Nope, I made a mistake. Who is the likes light industry? I could lower taxes. to very low for 4 years. Brutal, absolutely brutal. I could add some fine print about political concessions. Or I could vow to pass diplomatic fleet. So who would passing diplomatic fleet piss off? My industrialists. Alright. Anyway, I should read this event text, huh? Despite gentlemanly comments, raised voices, and the shaking of fists, the petite bourgeoisie have admitted to several compromises that would change their perception of propertied women. After I delivered the president's offer, I became incredibly grateful for the lectern in front of me, my hardwood shield against the onslaught of insults and very physical detritus that was tossed at my person. I raised my arms, but kept my voice level. Gentlemen, please. I can see that this offer may not be all you hoped for, but the president is quite adamant. Propertied women is the future of our nation. 4 years, that's so much. Nah, I can't afford any of these. This is going to piss them off a little bit, but it is what it is. None of these are good. None of these are good. I don't need a diplomatic fleet, sir. I want to have control over my own fleet. Democratic Solidarity, a pro-suffrage gesture, and Foco Berca has released a positive endorsement of the Republican Party for its stalwart support of voting rights in the United States of America. There is no issue in our republic greater than that of the franchise, that method by which the people may decide any future issue which comes their way. With this in mind, my endorsement should come as no surprise. The Republican Party is the guardian of the American franchise, extra momentum for the Republicans, or perhaps some party members more than others. Not as much momentum, but the industrialists become stronger. I'm just going to do the first one. I think that's reasonable. 30% momentum is rock solid. Very nice. This is going to help us long term. Okay, so I do... Even though it's expensive, I do want to continue to build up the government admin capacity because I just got quinine, and that means I can increase the size of my colonization as well. A tumultuous campaign. Whilst campaigning for the Democratic Party in turmoil-racked Arkansas, John Brown has been attacked and brutally beaten by a group of unknown assailants. When the crowd cleared and the screaming stopped, all that was left in the street was his prostrate form, bruised, cut, and barely recognizable as the Titan he'd represented not 5 minutes before. Some rest and recuperation would be best. They lose momentum, and John Brown becomes scarred. Get back to the trail right away. The Democratic Party gains momentum, and he becomes wounded. Or, of course, we know who it was. It was us. He becomes wounded and shell-shocked. American electoral confidence is reduced by 5%. And 30% momentum is subtracted from the Democratic Party. I don't think I need to reduce Democratic Party momentum that much. So we'll just let him get some rest and recuperation. That should be fine. I gotta get these government admins done because I want to start increasing those institutions. And I want to do that as fast as I can because it takes a bunch of time to make it happen. A hysterical claim. A recently published paper on hysteria in women has been gaining traction in the medical community. The paper is being used as anti-women's rights propaganda against the propertied women law. There is no real evidence that hysteria is any more prevalent in women than it is in men, but for some reason we are the ones who keep getting diagnosed with it. This is troubling. Reduced enactment success chance. Maybe we can do our own research. 50% chance of reduced enactment success chance by 20%. 50% chance of reduced enactment speed by 10%. Increased enactment success chance by 5%. Or it's time to release a comprehensive rebuttal. One setback, minus 20% enactment speed, but plus 10% enactment success chance. I'm going to do the third one. Must be at 33%, so I'm feeling pretty confident about that. Kindly burn this letter. Curly Stannard, a prominent member of the Republican Party and President of the United States, has been accused of gross corruption. He has strenuously denied all claims until damning letters surfaced signed by him. Yes, I'm willing to discuss the contents of these letters with the committee, if only I'm given time to study the content of the letters in my personal chambers first. Of course, on my honor, I will not alter or destroy any of the evidence. Honest. The Republican Party should stand by Pearly Standard and deny everything. Pearly Standard should be isolated, so this first one reduces momentum of the Republicans. The second one is Pearly Standard should be isolated to protect the rest of the Republican Party. He loses a bunch of popularity. Or there are allies in the Republican Party who can speak in his defense. This is available because we've got politicians and or agitators that are charismatic. So this is half as much lost momentum. I'm just going to pick the second one. It's going to reduce our authority, but it's not going to affect the election. And that's what matters. At the Redeemers events in Arkansas, once again, I will arrest these men and install a new state government. See, this is what I mean about the Reconstruction events. All of this stuff has happened in Arkansas, or a really comical amount of the stuff has happened in Arkansas. And Arkansas is not, it's not the heart of Reconstruction here. Alright, so we're increasing colonization and health system at the same time. And I think that's reasonable. How are we doing with the improvement of the Afro-American situation? Pretty good. Pretty good. Could be better, but pretty good. So now we're costing ourselves a huge barrel. That's because I've been increasing the size of the government, but it is what it is. I gotta do it. I just gotta. Because again, that healthcare is locking in the strength of my petite bourgeoisie and my petite bourgeoisie specifically, which is the heart of my Republican Party. So that's simply how I've got to handle things. Wow, I'm paying $12,000 in interest once again. Alright, let's get this election rolling. Beautiful. Now, I got a free reform, but I'm actually in a righteous government right now, so... Okay, so the industrialists are going to leave the Republican Party in the next election, which is just fine with me. They've been in and out of there, so that's no problem. That's completely reasonable. Questionable practices. Released patients from the Washington Asylum have steadily denounced the practices involved in their so-called medical treatments. As treatment of the sick, withholding of personal letters, and disproportionate punishments were among the charges. They would make us sit in a chair for hours, if not the whole day, in silence. We couldn't talk to any other patient, not even read a book. They would only excuse us to go to the restroom if we were lucky, otherwise it was just a rusty chamber pot. No food, no water. If we were not sick when we were admitted, we would be so within just a few weeks. The judgment can't be trusted. Pissed off evangelicals. We need to entirely revise how the asylums work. Increase standard of living for lower and middle strata in D.C., but costs a pile of money. Or the evangelicals can take over the administration. Evangelicals happier, but reduce bureaucracy. I'm just going to piss off my evangelicals more. I'm already pissing them off with this Propertied Women situation, so it is what it is. A famous cafe. After a chance meeting in a cafe and a thoughtful conversation, Ezekiel Welch, a market liberal aligned with the petite bourgeoisie, has recommended that Martin von Ehrenheim, currently residing in the United States of America, be granted permanent residency. If you're in need of a place to stay, I could hardly neglect to offer you an invitation. It would be shameful for me to, following such a magnificent correspondence, to fail to pursue your talents further. We could hardly ask for more esteemed endorsement, stronger petite bourgeoisie, and he joins the country, or Ezekiel Welch's decision-making is clearly questionable. So he being Martin von Ehrenheim. So Martin von Ehrenheim is a radical aligned with the petite bourgeoisie. He's Swedish. Yeah, I'll empower my petite bourgeoisie further. That's great. That's just what I need. Inefficient agriculture. The industrialists have started complaining about the wasteful inefficiency of subsistence farms in New York. The fertile soil of our people suffers, relegated to tired and callous hands, too exhausted from manual labor to perform at a decent level, too poor to be able to use more advanced tools that would make them more profitable. This industry is just a useless investment. So if you didn't know, this event has changed significantly since it got originally implemented very early on in the game. So, option 1 is it won't matter if everyone comes to the city. Increase state construction efficiency, increase manufacturing industries throughput, increase capitalist investment pool contribution efficiency by 50%, so a huge amount, and industrialists happier. Option 2, then we should modernize the farms. We still get the construction efficiency, but instead of the manufacturing throughput of 10% bonus, we get a 15% agriculture throughput bonus and a 25% aristocrats investment pool contribution efficiency instead of 50% for industrialists. Or, looks like the perfect ground for an army base. Armed forces happier, +3, industrialists mad, -2. We still get the state construction efficiency, but instead of an industrial throughput bonus, we get increased conscription and training rate. I'm going to hit the won't matter if everyone comes to the city button, because I love increasing manufacturing. So, we're still chipping away at building these universities. I'm going to throw the barracks that I queued in forever ago at the top of the queue. I wasn't thinking about that. I want to get them done faster. Spread thin. New law progressed to study for propertied women. Wonderful. The limited political resources of the intelligentsia have made the group's leadership question its membership in both the Anti-Prussian League and the American-British Fellowship. And for office supplies on average, the auditor turned a page to the relevant entry and ran his eyes down the column. 300 crowns per month. The man who sat across from him... for the man who sat across from him, the world was beginning to spin. You're certain? And 1,200 for quote-unquote work-related travel expenses. Excuse me, he managed. Could I have a copy of the manifest? I need to meet with my colleagues at once. There's no reason to remain in the Anti-Prussian League. They stopped doing that. Membership in the American-British Fellowship is no longer useful. They do that. Or abandoning either would be unwise. Intelligentsia becomes a lot weaker. Let's have them leave the Anti-Prussian League, which I think should end the Anti-Prussian League. Beautiful. All right, that's perfect. That's exactly what we want. No, the Marine Corps need a general as well. Let me see. I'm gonna put Sylvester Heffernan in this thing, because I don't want to put Southern planters aligned people in charge of anything at this stage. I know they're mostly not unhappy, but they're still trying to stop me getting propertied women. And in any case, I'm still sore about the whole Civil War business, which I think nobody should be surprised by. Frontier Wars. So the one thing... Okay, so I am going to need to declare war on Mexico for Colorado, at least, in order to get the Frontier Wars journal entry finished. So maybe... Let's pause government construction for now. Do I pause ship construction too? This number I don't like at all. I've still got 10 infantry. If I go for return state CB, El Salvador will step in. Hudson's Bay Company will potentially step in, but I don't think they're actually gonna. Oh, they only have 3 battalions. Never mind, that's not gonna matter. Yeah, let's do this. If they say yes, no problem at all. And they said yes. Excellent. We're still colonizing the rest of Colorado, but that'll be fine. So that means that I'll be able to complete Frontier Wars by myself, unless they start colonizing Colorado themselves again, which I hope they don't. So Colorado, Wyoming is here. North and South Dakota are here, Nebraska is here, and Kansas is already done. Alright, beautiful. So that's that. That gives us a 5-year truce with Mexico, which is completely fine. I'm not worried about that at all. That will sort itself out in due time, and then I can fight them for the rest of the country. Bureaucratic imbroglio, stall event. Lawmakers working towards the enactment of propertied women have found themselves mired in a particularly complex set of bureaucratic proceedings, grinding the work towards the reform to a near halt. The fully developed bureaucratic apparatus compares with other organizations exactly as does the machine with the non-mechanical modes of production. That is to say, the teeth of its individual gears meet in a chord, or its gears will gnash and churn until it eventually breaks. Damn this labyrinthine legal system, reduce enactment speed, reduce enactment success chance, or cut through at least some of the red tape. Radicalizes 10% of bureaucrats in DC, reduces bureaucracy, and reduces enactment speed. I'm going to go with the second one. That's going to put me at a shortage of bureaucracy, although of course I can solve that problem. Hey, baking powder. We figured it out. Wonderful. Oh my goodness. I forgot to start getting explosives running in my mines. Whew. Oh, what a smarty I am. All right. Let's get that rolling, and yeah, we'll get those mines running on bombs. That's going to dramatically increase my demand for explosives, I bet. Yeah, sure does. That's okay though. The private sector can for sure afford to construct some explosives industries, assuming. Yeah, they for sure can. It's fine. Let's build some bureaucratic capacity in Illinois. We'll throw that at the top of the queue. We'll unpause for just a sec. I think I'm going to pause ship construction, because ship construction is costing us a lot of money. Yeah, I think I'm getting a better sense of, like, ooh, a liberal from the industrialists. That's cool. I think I'm getting a better sense of, like, the cost of ship construction. Now, if I want to wage significant overseas wars, I need a lot more supply ships than I've currently got. So I do need to continue to focus on ship construction for now. But, it's not something I need to do too much of. It's not something I need to be too concerned about. Shipyards are fully employed right now. Alright, so cash flow is doing a lot better with construction paused, which is normal. I've got a huge pile of additional expenses right now. Those should sort themselves out in good time. I think those are from... Yeah, almost for the needy and paying newspaper for support. Yeah, those are election stuff. So stuff that I needed to get done. Actually, we're in voting for Propertied Women, which is delightful. That was what that sound was. I'm like, there's a sound going on. Why don't I understand it? All right, beautiful. And now we got the private sector building an explosives factory, which is lovely. Supremacist violence in North Carolina. Use the full might of the government to protect freedom. Wonderful. Come on, Afro-Americans, you can make it. 15% above the 60 line. It's not that much farther. We can get there. We can get there. Wait a minute. Is there a decree? Whoa! Promote national values allows assimilation in homeland states now. That's wild. I did not know that. Okay, so there's no way I can increase acceptance gain rate. So that's fine. See, I started very very confident that I could get over the equality for all line, but now I'm not so sure. Because I've still got quite a few Afro-Americans in the, well, we're only at 25%. I'm worried. I'm worried is all. Because I still got 75% of Afro-American pops below the line that I need them to be at. A bunch just went up there, so that's good. Yeah, I'm currently looking at size of population. Like it's really hard to see. Where is it? I know it's got to be here somewhere. Is it information? It's got to be in population, right? Okay, here's the number. Here's the number. Minus 25. All right. So in a lot. Okay. All right. So here's how I can figure it out. So Afro-American minus 25 in Texas, and again, for this to work, I need to be at minus 10 or higher. That's actually pretty brutal. So I'm over a little bit in Arkansas due to events. Yeah, so if I can get events in these areas. So in South Carolina we're doing very well. In North Carolina we're doing very well. In Virginia we're okay. We'll decay to 0 in 5 years, so that means 1.5 years they'll be there. And I got 3 years. So for Virginia we're good. Yeah, I think this is going to kind of come down to the wire if I can't get some more events in these areas, because I've only got 3 more years to cover the distance, and that's only going to get us. It's only going to get us a third of the way. So 8 years for. So it's 3. It's about 3 per year. Yeah. All right. I'm still gonna have to work that. I'm still gonna have to work my way at it. Crooked connections. Frustrated with the lengthy legal process surrounding Propertied Women, Cassius Winthrop of the Intelligentsia has approached us with an offer to expedite the process, utilizing his personal connections within the state apparatus. A few words in the right ears is all I'm asking for. Everything within the bounds of the law, of course, although I can't guarantee that our opponents in this matter will view such actions with much glee. Grant him permission, time is of the essence. Evangelicals even more pissed off. Increase enactment speed. Or no, we do this by the book or not at all. Reduce enactment speed, but only by 10%. I'm going to pick that second one. I always do that. It's not rocket science here. Got the bison hunting event, this time in Nebraska. I'm going to have the army slaughter bison. I wish I weren't doing that, but I'm being pragmatic in terms of our colonial needs. Alright. Where are we with our institutions? We're 13 weeks away, so I think we do need a little bit more government admin in order to get us there. Colonization of Utah completed. Wonderful. Alright, just going to move these government admins up to the top here. I'm going to finish out that university, because that's important. Colorado... We're not quite finished with Colorado. Utah we are finished with. I'm going to start incorporating Utah just to get it rolling. Untrained hands. Children working in the furniture manufactories in New York have suffered injuries trying to operate the machinery used in production. After examining the boy's hand, the doctor sat back down, turned to the mother, and sighed deeply. Well, I'm afraid your son is never going to become a great musician, he said. But then again, perhaps that was never one of his more likely prospects. Keep children off the factory floor, reduce dependents' income. Or, these new employers need all the employees they can get. Trade unions big mad. Mortality of laborers employed in manufacturing in New York increases. I'm just going to keep children off the factory floor. I think that's fine. Alright, let's get... I queued in 5 more government admins. So that should give us enough bureaucratic capacity to finish out the stuff we're currently trying to do. Let me see. If we fail this, yeah, that's gonna be pretty tough. Oh, interesting. Even if... South German mass immigration. Excellent. Anyway, hopefully we can get there. We're at 34% in the third phase, so hopefully it shouldn't be too big of a deal. Meanwhile, I'm costing us even more money with my expansion of the government administration, but I still want to finish out increasing these institutions. I feel like maybe I'm being inefficient about this just on account of the fact that I'm rolling up increasing my I'm showing up here increasing the size of my colonization when I'm actually nearly finished with colonial efforts. Now, could I start colonial efforts? Beautiful. There's that. On Nitsatapi, no, I could not. And the reason I couldn't is because rival somebody, is because I'm not influential in the strategic region where they exist. Now, the strategic region is presumably like Canada up here. So if I could say score a trade agreement with Hudson's Bay Company, but I cannot be. Oh, that's exciting. There's me to build in them. Well, that's fun. Let's do it. Wonderful. I did it. I'm the greatest. We'll halt government construction once again. I'm surprised that I haven't had a war with the Great Sioux Nation at any point. I feel like that's something that really I'm going to start thinking of. Can I declare over here no available states? Okay. Alright, colonization of Colorado is finished. So, we'll go ahead and hit incorporate for them. A dangerous business. The efficiency of our whaling stations in Massachusetts has proved to have a dangerous counterpart, and death has become common to almost every voyage. It is a high price to pay, but the profit is equally high. The body of the whale lies as wide as the sky. Its head has been emptied, and the barrels of oil are stained with blood. A voice resounds throughout the wharf. We lost a dozen men, and then he starts to list them and their towns. A few of them are from the capital. One of them has your brother's name. The oil shimmers, the liquid gold like the blood of a siren, luring men to their deaths. We need to ensure the safety of the sailors. David Farragut becomes more popular. Massachusetts gets reduced whaling employee mortality, or but it shines increased whaling stations throughput. I'm just going to do the first one. I think that's reasonable. I think that's completely reasonable. I wonder if I can get investment rights in the other Canadas. Alright, there's health system and colonization increased. Not Lower Canada, that's for sure. What about Upper Canada? These are unavailable because... Oh, interesting. So I wonder if Hudson Bay Company is a chartered company, whereas all these others are colonies. Alright, that makes sense. So I can only get investment rights in the Hudson's Bay Company. Cool. Can I start incorporating American New Mexico? I can. Wonderful. Oh, based. Alright, so the frontier wars are nearly finished. I need to knock out the rest of Montana, which is pretty straightforward. Ooh, chemical bleaching. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. I have been steadily increasing my amount of government admin, so that's reasonable. If I produce bone china, that's not as productive as it looks, but I can subvene the export of porcelain and make it even more efficient. But have I goofed up the price of glass? I have not. In fact, I'm a glass exporter on balance, which is quite good. Indian Territory has a market access problem, which is not good. Let's go ahead and build railway there. Unfortunately, it's going to cost me a pile of money, but it is what it is. Artillery shortage. Are there no artillery foundries? Are there no artillery foundries? Let's start producing smooth bores. I guess I didn't think you're building smooth bores. Sorry, it just occurred to me that my little Ebenezer Scrooge joke might have sounded violently mad, but it is what it is. 40 acres in a mule event once again. Authorize the limited redistribution of land. Ooh, in Louisiana. Excellent. So that is one of the states we needed to affect. I think I'm going to produce some more textile mills in Pennsylvania. So we'll get those done as fast as we can. As long as we're spending money, we might as well spend it on productive things. Which is not to say that universities are not productive. And in fact, my weekly innovation is continuing to increase, and with good reason. I do very much need to increase innovation output. But, actually, steel railway cars is really, really good. I'm glad we're working on that. Beautiful. And there's equality for all. Alright, so that makes me just tickled. Alright, so now that I've got equality for all achieved, when I finish with Reconstruction, which is in 2 years and 3 weeks, Afro-American will become a primary culture of the United States, and the Afro-American people will no longer suffer discrimination of any kind in America, which is based as hell. And that'll be really, really cool. And for the Dixie folk, things will not change because they are already... their status will remain the same. Alright, so next on the agenda, we are going to wage a war with Mexico. We got another 3 years for that. And that's fine. After that, once we finish colonizing the Great Sioux Nation, which is going pretty fast at this stage, we're going to finish the Frontier Wars journal entry. That's going to give us homelands on all these states. Munitions plant's not running. Unclear why that's happening. And then once that's complete, we'll the frontier, the Mexican cession will look to next. So for that we need California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico. So California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico. Once that's done, this will complete, and that'll get us homelands in those states, and then a bunch of... Or no, I think we need to go after Columbia District next, but we can do that diplomatically. In fact, I'm improving relations with Columbia District just to make sure that can happen. All play and no work. Brigadier General Sylvester Heffernan's personal habits are starting to get in the way of his role as Brigadier General. Sylvester Heffernan smiles at the officer, avidly, exultantly. His eyes have obviously seen better days. Carefully recumbent on his leather armchair, his voice comes out as rubbery as the material. I've been getting this line read sillier and sillier, so let's see how it goes this time. It's a stressful job, you know. No need to make it even more stressful. That's my rubberiest. This is me at my rubberiest. I'm so rubbery right now. It's 1 a.m. and I'm rubbery as all get out. Fire him. He's fired. Or he's too valuable. Reduce morale damage for 5 years. Fire him. Alright, so that means the United States Marine Corps needs another general. Thomas Jackson. Brigadier General, are you Stonewall Jackson? You're an armed forces traditionalist. I'm not sure. I suppose we'll find out. Now you're a Marine. Get it. Judith Thorndike. I don't know who that is. Do I need to do anything else with my laws? Let's take a look here. Oh, I actually have another level of healthcare I could run to. Which is fine. I have a lot of things I could do. I could go to Laissez-Faire. Almost nobody would be opposed to this. That would be pretty good. I am playing as America. And Laissez-Faire is super duper good when you're playing as America. Yeah. Let's do it. So who's going to be mad if I do this? The yeoman farmers and the trade unions. Give me a second. Yeoman farmers, what's going on with you? You still have the loser and revolutionary struggle modifier, but you're barely going to get over 5%. You know what? Let's do it. Let's go to laissez-faire. So here's the big difference here. Interventionism, one free company charter, fine. 50% private construction allocation, plus 25% government dividends efficiency, plus 50% nationalization investment return, and disable nationalization without compensation. Okay? Laissez-faire, 75% private construction allocation, 2 free company charters, minus 25% loan interest rate. So all that's very good. 25% increased capitalists' investment pool contribution efficiency, 25% shopkeepers' investment pool contribution efficiency. All that's really good. But, and plus 100% government dividends reinvestment. So what that means is, well, 50% over here. So this is a percentage of government dividends, I think, that automatically go to the investment pool rather than into the treasury. So 50% for interventionism, 100% for laissez-faire. Here's the thing. Disable nationalization and force privatization. What that means is that you're always privatizing industry when you're on laissez-faire. It also forbids monopolies, which I don't use that much anyway because I think it costs authority or something. Labor movements can become militant as a result of this. Interesting. Let's do it. Could negotiate with the petite bourgeoisie. That's an interesting thing. So immediately I think we cut some consumption taxes and start suppressing the labor movement. And I think if that gets them weaker, then so be it. It will get them up to... Okay, so they're projected to go to 82%, which is not bad at all for us. 4% success chance here, so that shouldn't be a problem. Cash flow is doing well because we're pausing ship construction right now. Okay, never mind. It's not so great at all. We'll go until we finish these 3 buildings. And then we'll halt construction once again. And we'll keep working on our national debt. We're paying $12K in interest a month, which I don't love. Getting to laissez-faire will solve that problem, though, because that'll drop interest rates basically to very close to 0, and that'll be very nice. I think at this stage, I'm going to drop back colonial affairs. That's going to allow me to reclaim a block of bureaucracy, so that I don't need to keep increasing the size of the government, and that should be real good. Yep, labor movement slowly increasing in activism. But again, I might be able to get there before they actually become a problem. Alright, and now it's time to pause the government construction once again. And that puts us in a very, very healthy state. Okay, perfect. Wisconsin. It puts us in the healthy state of Wisconsin. Yeah, I think running up to quinine might have been a mistake. I don't think I actually needed to do that. So this colonization process is actually going really, really fast. In fact, I think I'm going to queue in the drop all the way back to level 1 colonial affairs. Because I think I'm just going to go for extra healthcare above that. That'll in turn increase the strength of my petite bourgeoisie, which will continue to make my Republican Party very, very strong. Come on, laissez-faire. Nice! We're already at study. Beautiful. 52% advance chance, 3% stall chance. I'm feeling pretty good about this. Once the colonization institution drops to 2, I think I'm going to increase healthcare up to 3. And that's, yeah, again, that's going to increase. I just said that. Oh boy, I'm tired, y'all. It's 1 a.m. and I'm tired. It's 1 a.m. and I'm tired. Paramilitary intimidation once again. This one in North Carolina. horrendous to disband these units at once. I know I don't need to complete that other thing yet, but I'm going to continue my current policy because it's worked so far, and there's no reason to change horses midstream here. That's what I say. There's labor movement popping off. So once again, our activity is predicted to go to 82%, but it's not going to get all the way to 100, so I'm not worried. Plus, I'm probably going to be able to get Laissez-Faire finished at a very reasonable amount of time. Let me see, they're going to get DC, New Jersey, Vermont, and Michigan. I'm not too worried about that, my nerds. I think that's going to be a very reasonable war to fight if we end up having to fight it. Very little of our armed forces in those states. So I'm feeling pretty confident in my ability to do this. Oh my god. Stay hydrated, kids. I think I'm gonna unpause government construction. Ooh, there's realism. Excellent. I think keeping construction rolling is still the smart play. Yeah, because I want to do this while I'm still at interventionism, because it's going to take forever to build these universities while I'm in Laissez-Faire, unless of course my investment pool is not up to the task of covering my needs, my investment needs. Rousing speech captivates the public. This afternoon, Cassius Winthrop, leader of the intelligentsia, delivered a fiery speech advocating for the enactment of laissez-faire. Making an appearance before the public in Washington, D.C.'s main square, Cassius Winthrop's powerful rhetoric left even his most embittered political opponents impressed. Excerpts from the speech are already being circulated across the United States of America, fanning the fires of an already roaring debate. This should ease the path to the reform greatly, 15% increase in active success chance. Or performances like these reflect well on Cassius Winthrop and his cause. He becomes more popular and the intelligentsia get a little stronger, but only 5% active success chance. I'm actually going to go with the 15%. I want to get this done as fast as possible, because this is technically a revolution, and revolutions are a hard deal to deal with. Colonization of Nebraska completed. Wonderful. Let's get them incorporating. Again, I'm going to reclaim the bureaucracy pretty quickly from here, I think. This might actually be our last province in South Dakota as well, so that might finish them too, and that'll finish the Frontier Wars journal entry if I'm right about that. Actually, no, I think there's going to be one more day. No, don't quote me on either of these. We're going to find out in a second anyway if I'm right or not. Hey, there it goes. Wonderful. So, and that's the Frontier Wars completed. The Frontier Wars. The last vestiges of Native American rule have been stamped out, leaving only the dominion of the United States of America. We have it in our power to begin the world over again. A situation similar to the present hath not happened since the days of Noah until now. The birthday of a new world is at hand. This was our destiny. The United States will annex the Indian Territory. Oklahoma becomes a Dixie homeland. Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, South Dakota, North Dakota, Nebraska, and Kansas become Yankee homelands. So, this territory is 1.5, has a population of 1.5 thousand Afro-Americans, but, and 14,000 Yanks, but is virtually entirely Native American population, Oklahoma now. So I think I am actually going to release the Indian Territory as a subject. I think that's just reasonable. I think that's just a sensible approach to things. I think I'm going to need a little bit more government bureaucracy. So, let's see. Why don't we build that in Iowa? Gold depleted in South Dakota. Ooh, actually, I should have some places where I can build proper gold mines now. Okay, only South Dakota. Well, that's okay. I'll just queue in all of them. Heck yes. Because I'm gonna drop below. I'm gonna get 243 back all at once when I drop to level 2 colonialism, but for the others I gotta wait. So it's not gonna quite get me back to 0. So that's why I'm building these. And they're gonna cost some money, but that's okay. So I guess we'll need to continue to wait on increasing our level of healthcare until I've got. Until I'm all the way down with colonial affairs, but that's okay. In the hands of the states. Did he smash his head into the cell wall? Was he tortured to death? The official story that the trade union's affiliated revolutionary died from cholera convinces only the gullible and the willfully blind. Only one thing is for certain. His supporters are livid, and they're out for blood. It was the Freemasons, I tell you. I have heard it from the butcher down the road that the warden's a member of that accursed cabal. It's them or the Herreros, or both. The president's one of them, too. That's why they offed him. The president's Herrero? Listen, kid, he says, blowing a cloud of thick smoke into the dimly lit room. There's a lot of things they don't teach you in school. Murderers, cries the crowd. Increases progress of the revolution by 10%. Trade unions stronger and unhappy. Or only God and the warden knows for sure. Let us kindly ask the latter. Increased activism for the labor movement. 3% devastation. I'm actually going to go with the first one. I think I can deal with the trade unions being stronger, but increasing the activism of the labor movement is not good for what I'm trying to accomplish here, which is to move to laissez-faire, which is a lot lower than it was a minute ago. Were the petite bourgeoisie about this earlier or something? I don't know. Undeserved blame. Some Yankee people are unfairly blaming the poor living conditions in Colorado and their Apache neighbors. They say we've taken all the jobs, that we make it impossible for them to earn a fair wage, but we suffer just as much as them. We must all learn to live together, minus 5% authority, or ignore it, minus 1 standard of living for Apache in Colorado. I'm going to ignore it. Sorry, Native Americans, it is what it is. I don't... Now, last time the petite bourgeoisie gave me some pretty bad negotiate options. These are tense with them. I sent from previously failed negotiations. That's going to go away eventually. I'm going to leave it. I still think I can make it. I'm not really concerned about this revolution anyway. I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be just fine. If my frickin' artillery foundries would keep producing the things I need. Alright, beautiful. We're up to 45%. That's very, very good. That's wonderful. Evangelicals are starting to chill out about women's rights, too, which is nice. And there's steel railway cars. Beautiful. That's wonderful. Alright, so before I do this, we'll go to steam trains, steel passenger carriages. That's just reasonable. I've run out of techs. Okay, so what do I want to do for techs? I got steel railway cars. That's good. Dynamite would be nice to have. A lot of good stuff I could use under military. Breech loading artillery is really tempting. On the other hand, I could swing around and snag the rest of the tier 2s in society. Actually, the tier 2s in society are basically done. There's just organized sports, and that's almost there. Alright, so we'll do that. We'll grab steel frame buildings, and then we'll go to military and snag breech loading artillery. I think after that, I want to do ironclad, gantry cranes, and I'll do ironclad, self-propelled torpedoes, and gantry cranes, because that'll let me build more modern ships, and that's stuff that I need. Okay, so these universities are going to get produced in a good in the fullness of time. Heavy-handedness. Pearly Standard mistook an enemy in the evangelicals after accusing them of false charges. Moderates in the evangelicals defected to the trade union's cause. The briefest flash of anger can make an enemy of a friendly face. It can make even the staunchest of allies split each other over a misunderstanding. And once it is cast, there is no going back. Their new bedfellows may not be so accommodating. 50% chance of a positive partnership, 50% chance of defection backfired. This is really hard to tell from me what's going on here, but I think it's basically like 50% chance both interest groups get stronger, 50% chance they get worse. Or Pearly Standard should stand down, slows down the revolution, and the president loses some popularity. I'm going to pick this second one. I basically always do that. That's going to cost us some authority, but that doesn't really matter to me all that much. So from here, we are building up quite a bit of steel production capacity here. Steel's actually crazy expensive. What's going on? Are you guys not running? No, you're running. That's curious. Let's build another set of steel mills. We'll do 2 in Ohio and 2 in New York. Well, Alamatic mass immigration. Wonderful. Colonial Affairs drops to level 2, and that does all that we need to do there. So once those are built, we'll be in a good spot in terms of steel frame construction. Should be fine. Just fine. Excellent even. Delightful even. Perhaps. Perhaps delightful. I'm still eyeing Panama. Let me see. Wow. Okay. We're almost at 3 hours. I'll finish out at 3 hours. It's been a good solid recording session, including last episode, which I think I've decided you're going to see a lot sooner compared to this episode than before, but we'll see. I got a liberal in charge of the petite bourgeoisie now, and a new... Okay, no, not a new president. We got Alexander Green as the leader of the petite bourgeoisie, and then Pearly Standard is still the president. Interesting. Can't get any more legitimacy from reforming the government. We'll see how things go. Now, do I still have a truce with Mexico? I do for another 2 years. Alright, so that's fine. We'll get there. Labor movement's still projected to get to 84% militancy. We are increasing in loyalism, actually, by a significant amount. Now that taxation's at a reasonable amount. Zabdiel Page, a former industrialist politician, has retired. I should go to the national cast and see if there's anybody that I want to promote, but I'm playing pretty pragmatic in terms of my overall politics. So the big thing that getting those homelands did for me is it makes these incorporation processes much faster. Oh, I haven't started this one yet. And the reason that's important is because, hey, we're in voting for Laissez-Faire. Wonderful. And we're in an election cycle. Is because incorporating faster lets me get taxation rolling sooner. Partisan papers. Party-affiliated newspapers have been proliferating during this election season. Publications associated with the Democratic Party have been particularly effective in spreading the party line. Read all about it. Honest politicians attacked by shameless cowards. Leading candidate for office issues heartwarming appeal to the common man's heart. Man on campaign trail pets a puppy. Read all about it. The Democratic Party has used the papers brilliantly, extra momentum for them, where newspaper circulation is through the roof. This is a boom for publishers. Extra paper mills throughput. I'm going with that second one because I don't want the Democrats to have more momentum. Speaking of which, where are we? Oh yeah, Republicans are very solidly... Oh, weird. So the yeoman farmers have joined the Republican Party, and the industrialists are out. That's quite curious. So that's delivered a ton of momentum of projected votes into the hands of the Republicans, which I, for one, am delighted about. Let me see, where are we on colonization? We're at 30 weeks away. So I think we're going to need to build a little bit more government admin. Let's go to Tennessee once again. To get that built. False democracy. Martin von Ehrenheim has issued a condemnation to the American electoral system, endorsing abstention from voting in what he calls a sham put on to placate the people. In the dictatorship of the reactionary, of the rich and powerful, obscured from the view of the people by the facade of democracy, the best thing one may do is to demonstrate the futility of such a guise that the people may be spurred into action regardless of concession. These guys are radical. The government must know that we see through their system, minus 10 legitimacy, reduce electoral confidence by 3%, extra momentum for the Democrats, reduced momentum for the Republicans, 2% petite bourgeoisie pops become more radical. Okay, that sucks. Discrediting the system is the next step towards revolution. That's also very bad. Reduce political strength per vote, minus 5 legitimacy. Significantly reduce electoral confidence by 6% instead of 3% for the first option. But instead of 2% of petite bourgeoisie pops being radicalized, it's 10%. And then reduce momentum by 20% for the Republicans plus 10% for the Democrats, which is the same as the first option. Or their supporters aren't voting, ours certainly are. 20% more momentum for the Democrats, minus 20% for the Republicans. I gotta pick the third one. It sucks, but I gotta pick it. Maybe I need to get rid of that guy. Okay, hear me out. No. I don't think, well, if I put him in charge, I could go to universal suffrage, and that would be pretty good. In fact, I think everyone in my government would be for it if I did that. So maybe putting him in charge is actually the right call. We'll see. We'll see what happens. The philosophy department. We've secured funding for philosophy departments in all of our institutions of higher learning. The University of Pennsylvania has chosen to focus this funding on advancing Hegelian dialectics. Now that we're more or less seated, we can begin. Everything you do at this institution begins and ends with this portmanteau. Philo, meaning the love of, and Sophia, meaning wisdom. The love of learning and thought is what philosophy is. Underpinning philosophy is the outlook by which we perceive life, the world, everything in essence. We can't necessarily teach you how to do a specific task here. What we can do is teach you how to learn, and how to think about learning on your own. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis, extra university throughput for 5 years. Investigate dialectical materialism, extra progress for socialism, or we need a pragmatic approach, extra progress for philosophical pragmatism. I'm just going to go with the first one for extra university throughput. I don't really need too much more free progress on society stuff. I'm basically, both of those are in tier 3, and I'm not in a rush to get anything in tier 3, except for steel frame building, which I'm not trying to get past them is my point. We're almost done with the reconstruction, so you're going to see that event, and I think I'll probably go to the end of the year to finish the election, and hopefully snag Laissez-Faire at the same time, and then we'll be good to go. The Crusade for Change. The ongoing effort to implement Laissez-Faire has captured the imagination of the Republican Party, which has added full-throated support of the new law as part of its central platform. Hold on, before I do this, let's check the election results. Okay, we're still likely to get a pretty solid win for the Republicans. The country yearns for change. For too long, we have watched the nation suffer. Is it not right to call for upheaval? Is it not right to call for the changes that are long overdue? I tell you now, we must embrace the future. The Republican Party are the champions of change, extra momentum for them. Or the people speak and the nation shall listen, extra enactment success chance for Laissez-Faire. It's a lot of stall chance. I'm going to go with the second one. I want to get the free enactment success chance. Because hopefully that lets us get past it right now, and then we can get up to something. Who's leading our yeoman farmers? We got a liberal in charge here, which is interesting. Not a Jacksonian Democrat, so you don't care about distro power right now. Oh, you do care about distro power. You're Jeffersonian. You always care about distro power. Interesting. All right, so I think, yeah, if I can get Laissez-Faire now, which I sure can. Beautiful. So now, what does it look like? Can't go to you. Why don't? Interesting. Okay, but hold up. So, you're a radical. Okay, so that's the same. Endorse census suffrage, strongly endorse universal suffrage. You own farmers, you're Jeffersonian, which is the same thing. Alright, so there's no way to get from here to universal. I need someone who actively dislikes census suffrage, which is fine. Alright, so I don't need to worry about that in that case. I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna do as I like. I'm gonna build gold mines. I'm gonna build steel mills. I'm gonna finish building universities, at least for now. There's a pretty good innovation amount. I think at the beginning of next session, I will get us started with a power block, because I do want to do that. And there's the nation Reconstructing. Our nation has rebuilt itself, making something distinct, something new, and most importantly, something united. For all our faults, we have reforged our nation, and have built ourselves a government that shall not perish from the earth. We stand united once more. Dixie stops being a primary culture, Afro-American becomes a primary culture. Beautiful. So, now that we got Laissez-Faire enacted, the labor movement's gonna slowly decrease in radicalism, or in activism, until they are no longer relevant. Alright, so, rock solid episode, feeling pretty good. Slowly chipping away at our national debt. We're paying very little in interest, because our interest rates are quite low now that we've got Laissez-Faire. And overall, the private sector is using a much larger segment of the construction queue, which is better for our government's finances. American-British Fellowship offers opportunity. The American-British Fellowship has offered us an opportunity to establish foreign investment rights agreement with Great Britain. The lobby has offered to use their connections to smooth the negotiating process. The negotiations, done under the table with a representative of the British government, have been long and arduous. The British representative knew they were dealing with a group without the power to match theirs, and had adjusted their strategy accordingly. Nevertheless, they had come to an agreement. Nothing in writing, of course, but that was hardly important. When the government sent the official copy, if they did, they would find that there was already a drafted response waiting in London. We would be happy to pursue this, or this is not in our interests. When I say this is not in our interests, I don't want Britain to be able to invest in me. That's a fast road to fuck up town, is what that is. Alright, Alexander Green is the new president. Contentious topics. An event organized by the American supremacist movement has transformed into a brawl as opponents of the movement infiltrated the crowd. When the police arrived, no participant was willing to give a consistent statement. Most of them had at least one bruise, a cut lip, or a bloody nose. His was much less honorably obtained than most of theirs. He'd whacked his hip against the corner of the table while rushing for the exit, only to run nearly headlong into an approaching gendarme. Two conflicting stories came to mind. One he would tell to the detective, and one he would tell to his friends. Give them all a day in jail to cool off, industrialists a little unhappy, or seek charges to the event's organizers. Industrialists very unhappy, significantly weaker American supremacist movement. American supremacist movement, we'll just give them all a day in jail to cool off. Oh my goodness, the industrialists have become marginalized. That's wild. I don't know what to make of that. But yeah. Anyway, let's finish out the month. Yeah, it's gold mines next, which will be very, very nice. And there's organized sports. Beautiful. Actually, I could potentially increase the size of my construction sector even more. The Journal of Philosophical Studies. Members of the Philosophy Department at the University of Ohio have signed a formal petition for government funding of their next project, a scientific journal. With the foundation of our philosophical studies, we welcome a new era in the scrutiny of the mind, an era of rigorous research and serious experimentation, an era of scientific collaboration among our foreign colleagues, a safe haven in which all investigations pertaining to this topic can be shared. We have no resources for this. 5% of academics pops in Ohio become more radical, or fund this journal. Extra prestige, extra government expenses. I'm actually going to do the first one. I don't need to spend money on that, my nerds. I don't need to spend money on that at all. Alright. Whew! So, that is the end of our episode. We have gotten a lot done. We have completed the colonization of the Great Plains, pretty much. We've taken some territory from Mexico. We finished our Civil War. We got to Laissez-Faire economics. We got to cultural exclusion. We brought Afro-Americans into the halls of power in our nation as a primary culture. Dixie Pops have continued to be well treated, both in their homelands and across the United States. As we can see here in society, they're full 100 acceptance. What other changes have we made in our laws? We improved women's rights. We allowed women to inherit property. We went to private health system. And we went to cultural exclusion. So we've done a lot of liberal reforms. We continue to expand the economy. We expanded it quite a bit, actually. We had a lot of radicals during the Civil War period, which is not surprising. And we still have quite a few radicals in a few states, particularly the states where we were very aggressive about promoting freedmen's rights, but them's the breaks. That's how it do be. Let's see. Standard of living has been mostly stagnant. Literacy has been going down, but we can definitely work on increasing that. We've increased the size of the government. We've made a massive investment into technology, which I'm hoping is going to really improve things going forward for our nation. Anyway, otherwise, we got an invasion of Mexico on the agenda. We got some aggression in Central and South America on the agenda. Maybe we'll take the fight to Spain by going after some of their territories near us. Who knows? For now, though, my nerds, I've had fun. I hope you all have had fun, and I will see you on the other side.